Hello everyone, I'm Chris, and this is the GameBit podcast. Joining me here today is Dean.
Hello.
And joining us for his second appearance on the GameBit podcast is Elliot.
Hey, how's it going?
His second appearance, Elliot.
Yes, it is. Yeah, should be the third, but we won't talk about last week. It's fine. Just some crazy imps got inside my computer, messed some stuff around. I could. It was utter chaos, Chris. I couldn't do anything. I had to call some specialist in. It was just dreadful.
I had to cut out an hour and a half of you chatting away.
It would
have been an hour and a half much longer if you were still here.
Apologies. Yeah, those damn imps.
Okay.
A man with a lot to say.
Yeah. Anyway, great to have you back. Great, And Dean, thank you very much for coming as well. We have a very special show today. E3 it's kind of still going, but the actual conferences themselves have now ended, which means we can have a chat about all of the conferences as they've now finished. So that's brilliant.
Yeah.
The only thing that's happened is I have prepared a series of notes, which are 5 pages long, featuring all of the things that happen in the conferences, and we're going to chat about them. But we're also going to be very quick. We want to kind of keep this under a 6-hour show. So let's see what we can do.
Because it could easily be a 6-hour show because there's so much cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick chat about the very first show that was on there. This is also in chronological order where I can put it as well. So the very first show that came out was the EA show. Got a few things. I don't know why new Halo has been put on there. That's not part of EA. Deleting that. Right, bye new Halo. Move that back down to... Oh, this is a brilliant thing. My notes have failed me.
If Halo could be any more dead than it is, that would be one way to kill it.
Okay, well, there we go. I think... Oh, yeah. So the first thing is, we've got the Forza Horizons 4 is now set in Britain and features dynamic seasons and a shared open world. How do you guys feel about this?
I find it hilarious that they put dynamic seasons in it, like Britain has more than one, and it's just rain. So I would love Forza Horizon 4 to open up with just these bleak, grey, Brittany skies with just rain everywhere, because I think that would perfectly... Because Americans just don't understand how Britain is. Every single time I play games with a friend of mine who is American, he's just like astonished at how bad the weather is in England. And I would love them just to have constant rain. I think it would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that would explain the dynamic weather.
Certainly would. I mean, it'd be cool. I'm never really one to enjoy driving games. I'm just kind of like, well, they're there. Some people get really serious about them. But I did play Forza Horizon 3 just for a couple of minutes with my dad when I first got my Xbox One S, and it was visually quite impressive. And this one did look pretty cool on stage, so I'm looking forward to it.
For me, Forza Horizon 3 was brilliant. I absolutely adored it, and I loved the Hot Wheels expansion as well. I think I've mentioned this twice so far in our shows, but I'd be really interested in seeing what they want to do with Forza Horizon 4's DLC packs to see what they think is acceptable, maybe even in the Britain setting. But when I watched it, I kind of felt that it was probably more based in Scotland than it is in anywhere I live.
Yeah, it looked interesting. It was a lovely little countryside, but I got to say, I live in Britain. I didn't recognise it at all. All that I did notice was the sort of like waist-high stone walling on the roads. I thought was a nice little touch.
I think the shared open world is really interesting because it kind of feels like it's what the Crew should have been, I guess. If it had
I was
better...
just about to mention that.
Yeah. I mean, the Crew is interesting. I want to play the open beta for that, but Forza Horizon has some really solid and tight controls, and it would be really nice to play that with friends. Let's see where it goes. Okay, let's move on. We've got loads and loads of stuff to talk about. Unravel 2 was revealed.
Really don't have an opinion on this one. Didn't play the first one, I'm afraid, so you can go ahead with this one.
Yeah, but if you can get the chance to play it, it's on EA Access Origins. Well, EA Access, and it's a really lovely little game, which just... It's really charming. I was really looking forward to it. It's one of the things that got me really excited about the conference. I don't know whether this is actually... Yeah, I got myself a bit confused with the Xbox conference now, looking back. But this definitely was on EA. Oh God, my notes are.
Yeah, it was on EA.
Yeah. I've been double doubting, second doubting myself since the Halo appeared in the EA highlights section of my notes.
Just threw you completely.
Yeah.
Well, it happens a lot. Like, two companies will show the same game, so it's easily done.
Well, that's
it's
what's
true.
happened mainly with Square Enix, but we're going to go on to that later.
Yes.
Dean, any thoughts on Unravel 2, or just shall we move on?
I'd like to try it. I haven't tried the first, but I've heard good things, and I heard that was the highlight of EA's conference. So, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Brilliant, let's move on. Great. This is another one that I'm not too sure whether you want to discuss or not. It's Origin Access Premier, which is kind of a more expensive, fancy version of Origin Access that give you access to all of the EA games as soon as they're released, and it's going to be setting you back about £15 a month or £90 a year. It works very similar to Xbox's Game Pass. Now, the thing that's interesting about this is whether or not we're going to be entering an era where we're now going to be making Netflix for games. So we're going to have multiple versions of these types of subscription services for Sony, EA, Microsoft, Capcom. It could be very, very expensive. What do you guys think about this?
I think it was I can't remember his name, but the guy who spoke mainly for EA used that. It was a wonderful phrase where he talked about the joys of subscription, and that's just one of those amazing corporate things where you just think, who wrote that line, because that is dreadful. But as far as the whole Netflix gaming thing, I think it's cool, but I just feel bad for those people out there who live in the middle of nowhere and have really bad Wi-Fi, because this is definitely not something for them. But games on demand is a cool idea. I do support it. I probably won't get it for myself because I'm not really into EA games at all. It's just a personal thing of mine. Ever since Battlefront 2, I just can't trust them as a company. But I'm sure other people will definitely find some enjoyment out of this and the joys of subscription.
And Dean, how about you?
Yeah. I think they're getting a bit ahead of themselves. Adding another layer to this subscription service. I'm not sure how many people use it, but I don't really have a lot to say on it, I guess. Just I'm not really that interested. I'm not really into EA.
No problem, Dean.
But
let's move on. We don't need to worry about this. Let's carry on. I am just a timekeeper today. Let's get on. We don't need to talk about it.
Let's go.
Anthem. They showed a new version of Anthem. I thought it looked crap. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Every single time I see that game, it just reminds me. I honestly could. If you showed me that video and didn't tell me what it was, I would have told you it was a DLC for Destiny. And I'm not a big Destiny player. I played the first one for a bit and didn't really play it much because I didn't really have enough friends to enjoy it with at the time. It was when I very first got my PS4, so I missed out on like 80% of the content that was in it. Never did the Vault of Glass. Let me just give you that kind of range of how little I played it.
Yeah, I really would love to play the Vault of Glass. If you ever get the chance to play it with me, because I have never had the chance to get several friends together to play it.
I never even got in the front gate. That was how little I attempted it. But yeah, as far as Anthem goes, it just depends on the execution. You can show as many little CG trailers and gameplay trailers as you want, but if it's just going to be another MMO Destiny Fest, it's going to pass me by.
How about you, Dean?
Yeah, I think when it was first revealed last year, it had a lot of... It seemed exciting, but from what I've seen this year, I don't think they're going to follow up on the potential that it had. And I think they're going off of Destiny, which isn't a good thing in my opinion. So yeah, I'm not as excited about that game as I was.
Yeah, I've heard that some of the tweets from the EA after it was revealed kind of made people a bit more excited, but everyone was pretty much meh on the whole gameplay. So, bit disappointing. I've lost all interest in it now. But maybe they'll
It might
win it
surprise
back.
us. Yeah, we know. We don't know. It might come out and it might be brilliant. If so, I'll take my hat off and say I'll give it a go. But you're right. At the moment, I'll just wait for the reviews to come out and see if it's worth a pickup.
Okay. Well, this was all of the highlights that I thought were really interesting to talk about for EA. Now we're on to the and the rest section. So these are the sections where We're going to be talking about it very briefly, and you guys are probably going to have like a sentence or two to really talk about what you think about it. It's not going to be anything big. It's just a section which we probably don't have any real interest in. So, I'm going to start off with Battlefield 5. Someone's got a message. Who is that?
Who was that? That was...
Not me.
Babe, have you got your phone muted? Just quickly mute mine. Yeah, mine's muted, okay? Yeah, she's nodding at me. Yeah.
Oh.
Mrs. Watching TV with the headphones on really politely.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Elliot.
No worries. Well, mine's off. Should be good to go.
Fine. That's fine. Okay. So Battlefield 5's single-player mode was teased. No one's interested. No one wants to say anything.
I just think story modes in first-person shooters are, you do it to practice for the multiplayer. That's pretty much all I'm going to say on it.
Yeah. But it was good. I think it's good that they have it because Call of Duty doesn't. That's my opinion.
Yeah, at least it has a single player, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, FIFA 19 getting the European Champions League. Woo.
Snooze fest.
Not a fan of football games, honestly. I just don't see the people that pay 50 quid to buy the same game every year. But I feel really bad for PES because the Champions League was all that PES had over FIFA. And now that they don't have that, I'm really interested to see what PES are going to pull out the bag.
Maybe they're just going to falsely name all their characters again. That was my favourite part about PES. All right,
Manchester Blue, Manchester Red. Yeah, it was entertaining.
Yeah. EA is trialling a streaming service which will let users play games on any device, anywhere. Which is great. I think it's interesting, but it's not yet ready to have for the public, really.
Wasn't that part of Premiere, or is this something different?
This is something different. Basically, what they want to do is they want to use kind of cloud computing systems, which means that you can stream your games on a mobile phone and play it elsewhere.
I think that's going to be very limited to the type of phone you have. If you've got that cool little Razer phone, which has 8 gig of RAM, then yeah, you're going to be laughing and you can play as much as you want. However, if you're still hanging on to that battered old iPhone 5, you're going to have some trouble.
Well, it depends. If it's a streaming, all of the processing power is done elsewhere.
That is true. Yeah, you're right on that one. So maybe it does open a couple of doors. I just think it's going to be limited to the device you play on.
Okay. Right, next up was The Sea of Solitude is a new EA Originals title. This was a title about a world where being lonely makes you into a monster and doesn't sound... it sounds interesting, but they spent so long
delightful.
Talking about it and not really going anywhere. So, because the presentation of the developer was really quite poor, I switched off. It does look pretty. Fine.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my point, is it looks... I love the art style. The water looked really nice. That was basically... I kind of glazed over. But, yeah, beautiful looking game.
Dean?
I don't have much to say on it.
That's fine. We're moving on. Okay, great. There's lots of stuff, Dean. New Command & Conquer game is coming,
yes.
But it's for mobile, called Command & Conquer Rivals. It's coming out for summer.
Shh on that one for me, I'm afraid.
I've always enjoyed Command & Conquer. Being able to play it on the go is a good thing, but it depends on how much it's going to cost.
I remember Command & Conquer on the PlayStation 1 when I played Red Alert, and it had dogs in it, and that was the best thing about it, just sending dogs to attack people. Other than that, I'm not really that interested. Okay, right. Tell you what, good news. Yep. In 15 minutes, we've covered the entirety of the EA conference.
Woo, nice.
Congratulations, guys.
Easily done with EA.
Yeah, it just goes to show how little EA brought to the table this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, so, and I think the other conferences might even be smaller. So we'll soon see. We might be wrapped up in 20 minutes, lads. Right, Microsoft highlights. So this is the Microsoft highlights section. This is the section which I think we're going to be talking about because they're really interesting sections. This is actually the most largest part of the conference, and the reason for that is because of Square Enix. Okay, now there's a few things I'm doing in this section. Is I'm not going to re-talk about things that Square Enix have shown before in other conferences before them, because as far as I'm aware, Kingdom Hearts 3 having a new trailer, that's a Microsoft conference for me instead of a Square Enix one. Okay?
Yeah, agree with that.
Brilliant. So, Microsoft opened up with a new Halo announcement, and I must say, it looks stunning. But, really want to see some gameplay, and it's probably been ages since I've played Halo. The last one I played was Halo 4, I think. Maybe even Halo 3. Oh, God.
Back in the 360 times.
The last decent one.
Yeah, I remember ODST. I don't think I ever played any Halo games on the Xbox One. No, I haven't. No. Well,
I think only Halo 5 was on Xbox One, wasn't it?
That was...
Yeah.
In fact, I think that might have actually been, like, the first big Microsoft game on the Xbox One, because it came out quite soon after the one, I'm pretty sure.
Is it any good?
Oh, and Halo 2 Remaster as well. Forgot about that.
That was the Master Chief Collection, right?
No, I think they just did Halo 2 Remaster on its own for Xbox One.
No, they've got the entire Master Chief Collection on Xbox One now.
Yeah, that's the first 3 games, I think, remastered, or it might be the 4th as well. I'm not too sure. It must be, because the 4th was on 360 as well. But
I think it's the 4th, but it doesn't include ODST.
Yeah, well, we don't have to worry about that one.
A lot of people love it. They think it's the best Halo game.
Reach was... Personally, I think Reach was the best.
I haven't played that either.
Wicked, that was a really good one.
Yeah. That was like the prequel to The Master Chef, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Master Chef, yep.
Brilliant. Okay, right. Overall, I think we're interested, but we'd like to see more, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I always say you can't really go much by a CGI trailer. We'll see some gameplay, and then it'll be interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. There's rumblings that it's going to be like a battle royale Halo. We'll see.
No.
I mean,
the
that could
zombie
work really well
virus
as a Halo
spreads,
game.
I'm telling you. It's going to envelop everything eventually.
On to Battle Royale games later
Game
on.
over.
I have that in my notes, don't worry. Okay, next one is they announced Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. And it's a new game from FromSoft and Activision. It's a samurai ninja game that looks a bit like Bloodborne. It looks really interesting, but one of the interesting things is that this is... And this is a little bit of a spoiler for Sony's one. Both Microsoft and Sony kind of showed off samurai games. And I'm wondering if that's now going to be the norm, or that's the next big thing that people really want to touch on. And if that's the case, why don't we bring out Tenchu?
Yeah, I've got to say, out of the two that you've just mentioned, the Sony one and the Microsoft one, I'm totally on board more with the From Software title. I think it looks sick when they showed it off, like the little grappling arm and stuff, and the way he was like parrying massive sword blows. Like, I was well into that. Like, we'll talk about the Sony one later, but I trust in my boys at From Software. I reckon this is going to be an absolute stellar.
Looks interesting. Dean, do you remember this bit?
No, I think I might have. I remember a little bit of it, but I don't remember the whole thing. But anything from Software is a good thing so far.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on. Next up is the really disappointing Crackdown 3 trailer. Okay, I was really disappointed. The only thing that I'm really happy about is, do you remember that we were moaning about Crackdown 2 not having the ability to climb up walls on cars?
Yes.
They brought it back.
They did.
So,
Yeah. I actually thought to myself, Chris is going to like that. I do remember you saying that.
yeah, I really like it, and I'm really happy that that's a case. It's there, but you know what? It just doesn't look as destructive as the first time that we saw Crackdown. It just seems like a lesser version of itself compared to the version that we first saw, and that makes me very sad.
Yeah, I think without Terry Crews being the guy that he is, that could have been kind of like a average like action game trailer. I love the fact that they put the Crews man in it as well. I can't wait to blow up buildings as Terry Crews, but he's totally carrying this game so far.
Yeah. How about you, Dean? Were you a fan of Crackdown?
I really enjoyed the first one. It was one of the first games I got with my 360. I didn't get around to playing 2 because I heard it wasn't as good. So the thing is, I don't have an Xbox One, so it would have to be something pretty impressive for me to go out and buy a console for it. But if it's anything like the first, then people that are going to buy it are in for a good time.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, great. Next up, Microsoft have announced that Kingdom Hearts 3 releases onto the Xbox. And what's really interesting about this is that those who have an Xbox and have never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games before it still have just as much knowledge as to what the hell's going on as anyone else who played on PlayStation. So, brilliant. So
basically,
yeah. So I mean, I'm not too sure whether this is whether they're going to release the Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, all of this stuff onto the Xbox. But if they don't, there's a massive kind of gap in knowledge, even more so, because I've played all of them, and I still don't know what's going on or what the plot is.
I'm sure that I think it also happened with God of War, but IGN put up like a really nice sort of the whole story of God of War in like a couple of minutes video that kind of really helped me understand when I play God of War. So if they do that with Kingdom Hearts, I think it might take a little bit more than 7 minutes, but that will definitely help. And I will be getting this only because my girlfriend is really into Disney, like she loves Disney, but she's never heard of Kingdom Hearts. So when I said to her, babe, have you ever seen this game? Like you are the sort of person that would play this. She had no idea what it was. And when I showed her the trailer, it was the one with the Frozen characters in it where she freezes the lake. She sort of watched it and she looked really confused. And after I finished it, I was like, well, what do you think then? And she sort of went, is this a real game? I was like, what do you mean? And she went, it looks like a random sort of Japanese game, but someone's modded Disney characters into it. So, it looks really fun, but she doesn't believe that this exists. And when I told her it went back to like PS2, she was kind of like, how have I not heard of this? You know what I mean? So we'll be picking this one up, and I really hope that there'll be some, here's the story videos on YouTube, because I think it would be greatly appreciated.
There are some Here's the Story videos on YouTube, and they bring more questions than answers most of the time. They're about 14 minutes long, and it goes into whole, oh my god, what is it? Sora is not actually Sora, he's Roxas, but Roxas is hidden inside his body, and because of this... And you're sitting there thinking, who the fuck is Roxas? I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's a complete mess. But, you get to experience the story out of... these little stories, I guess, which are set within the worlds themselves, the Disney universes, and that's the bit that I really take from it. They're just like a series of small stories for me. I don't care about the overarching thing. I'm just like, you know what? Elsa is upset about something. I'll sort her out, and then we'll move on to the next, Disney property that they want to sell to us.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Toy Story thing, and it would be really cool if... have they done like an English trailer for that yet? Because I'd really like to see if Tom Hanks does the role of Woody.
No, it's not. It's his brother.
Oh, okay. The sort of his brother Jim that does all the toys, I think as well. He does. Kind of sounds like a sort of discount Tom Hanks, but he still sounds pretty good. So I will give it a listen.
No, he sounds fine. I'm quite happy with it. The thing is that I feel really bad for old. Is it Jim Hanks? Because he spends a lot of his time making money pretending to be his brother.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's definitely the red-headed stepchild kind of thing going on.
Yeah, but no. Dean, have you got any thoughts about the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer?
I think it looked pretty damn cool. I like that they're choosing these newer films as places to go. The story is very confusing, yeah. I just think with Kingdom Hearts, it's more about the experience than trying to understand the convoluted story. It's sort of like Disney's version of Metal Gear Solid, in the way that the stories are all mixed up and back to front and all over the place. So yeah, it looked really impressive. It's Kingdom Hearts, and it's a main game, so it's going to be good.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, great. I've got mention here of, my God, what is this dog doing outside? It's not my dog. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
It's one of those, I can already tell it's one of those small yapper type dogs, you know what I mean?
It is. I've got a border collie, and it is the most well-behaved thing you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Shut up, dog.
My neighbour's got a dog like that as well. Oh man.
Yeah, so I'll see if I can edit him out. If not, well, you know what? Guest appearance by Dog Next
It's a
Door.
random dog next door. Lovely.
Yeah, I'll put that on the episode description. So there we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, there we go. He's only in half the episodes that you guys are in
The
as well.
dog next door.
Right, okay, so I've actually got Forza Horizons 4 for the Microsoft highlights. And you know what? We discussed about Forza Horizon 4, but we did it on the EA conference. So you know what? Brilliant, great. You know, I'm really pleased that EA did Forza Horizon 4.
Tick.
Okay, so we've already discussed that. Next is really big news. Microsoft have acquired 5 new additions to their Microsoft Game Studios lineup. The first is The Initiative, which is a Santa Monica-based studio that is currently forming. So it's a new studio where they haven't actually revealed what games they've worked on. Then there's also Undead Labs, the creators of State of Decay, of which my opinion was I thought they were already Microsoft Game Studios. Then there's Playground Games, developers of the Forza Horizon series. And I thought, again, they were already part of Microsoft Game Studios. And then there was another game developer, Ninja Theory, as well, who developed
Ninja Theory.
Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. And that, I think, is massive news. There's a helicopter out there now.
Because it seems like everyone is out to disrupt your mic this time.
Yeah, well, it's not me. I haven't done anything.
They're looking for the guy that the dog was barking at.
Oh, God, okay. Well, you know, hopefully that's sorted out. We'll have the police round in a bit. Anyway, so, what do you guys think of these interesting new additions to Microsoft Game Studios? Is a silence there.
Go ahead, Dean.
So I guess you guys aren't really interested.
No, I think it would be cool, but you go ahead, Dean, because my opinions on this is kind of low. So you go ahead.
Well, I'm always a bit worried when Microsoft sort of consume a company that has so far produced pretty good games. Look at Rare, for instance. They're definitely I mean, Sea of Thieves seems to be okay. People are enjoying it enough, but overall, they're definitely a shell of their former selves since their Nintendo days. And I just a bit worried whether Ninja Theory would be able to make games like Hellblade again in the future, because whether Microsoft think they're going to give them the creative freedom that they've always had or not, I don't think they're going to have that creative freedom with Microsoft. You know, because when they're making a game now, it's in Microsoft's best interests, and I'm a bit concerned whether Microsoft really know what they're doing as a games company, as opposed to a games company that produces consoles. I think they're better at that than sort of taking the head of games development. So, you know, I don't know. I see this whole they're buying up these companies, and maybe they've got the best intentions to improve their games lineup, but I just see it at the moment as them just sort of swinging around their corporate cocks, like, look how much money we have, look at all these companies we could buy up, you know, like, especially with, what was it, 3 of the companies you mentioned are already only making games for Microsoft.
Yeah.
So something seems a bit off about it to me.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to kind of say exactly the same thing, Dean. I think it's just Microsoft planting a suit in each of their offices and kind of, you know, tapping them on the shoulder and sort of shaking their head at any kind of thing that they don't approve of. I think that they should back these companies, but not have too much input, and as far as sort of dampening their creative sort of ideas. It is literally just Microsoft slapping a big green collar on them and just saying, you know, we own you now. We'll give you loads of money to make these awesome games, but we want Senua from Hellblade to be wearing a green shirt from now on. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened
Yeah.
in Senua 2 or something like that. So I'm pretty much on the same path as you are on that.
For me, I'm a bit upset about Ninja Theory because they spent a lot of their time promoting themselves to be a really independent developer, creating Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, funding it themselves, going on to do something really amazing. And it was kind of the pinnacle of like seeing, that developers can kind of survive on their own. It's a bit tricky for me to say that because obviously I work for a publisher. And this is some of the stuff that I do. But there are times where some people can support themselves in that way. And because now they've been owned by a larger publisher, that whole message or that whole meaning of, hey, you guys can do it independently is completely destroyed. And it means that anything that Ninja Theory did in terms of saying, hey, we did this really amazing game and we're still working and we're independent, that's gone completely out the window. And the whole message has kind of been a bit misconstrued, which is really a shame for me. This is something that I kind of feel really development-wise that it just contradicts everything that Ninja Theory stood for over the last couple of years. But either way,
Yeah.
I think that Microsoft have a lot of work to do to kind of make sure that they focus their teams and get them to deliver things on time. We've seen like Platinum have Scalebound cancelled. We've seen Crackdown 3 just be a bit of a mess in terms of it being delayed or no one really knows what's happening, and even the messaging is all messed up as well recently in the most recent stuff. Sea of Thieves not really hitting the mark for a lot of people, and I kind of feel that maybe they need to have a bit of a restructure inside Microsoft to see how they can focus on quality. The only thing is that Playground games are still releasing amazing games, so just leave them alone would be my opinion.
Yeah, keep them doing what they are doing because they're doing it right.
Yeah, they're doing an amazing job. And apparently they may be working on the Fable game. So, that would be interesting as well. But, they make car games. Unless we have, like, Fable karting.
Oh, here we go.
See. Okay, let's move on. The Division 2 was shown off. Looks a bit like The Division, doesn't it?
Honestly, I thought that was just like an extra level for the first one. Apart from an extra couple of little gadgets that they showed off on when they got to the fighting bit on the plane, you could have, if you'd have said to me, this is DLC for Division 1, I would have believed you. Also, my all-time favourite thing, which is fake in-game voice acting, is just, I love that. You can show me 1,000 Division trailers as long as you keep having that, because it's just so cringingly bad that I enjoy that more than the gameplay.
So bad it's good.
I'm actually really looking forward to this. I really loved The Division, but it just didn't quite hit the mark. There's been a few extra things that have happened and they revealed. One of the core issues with The Division was that a lot of the human-type characters were bullet sponges, and this meant that you spent ages just unloading weapons into an enemy, even though they looked just like a normal enemy.
It's incredible how a beanie hat can somehow stop bullets like Kevlar.
Yeah, I know. But what they've done now is all of the enemies kind of can get taken down much quickly, but there's bigger enemies who have armor, and you can knock off the armor by shooting it. So it's a visible system where you can see just how much health someone has. And if you keep knocking off armor, then it makes it easier to kill them. And I think that's really nice. I think it's a nice addition, and I think it sounds like they're fixing things that was wrong with the first Division, and I really liked that game, but I fell off it. So I'll be getting this one. I've actually downloaded the Division on Game Pass to give it another try. So I'll be playing that again this week, probably. Dean, how about you?
Well, I was really interested in the first Division, and I really enjoyed what I played of it. I found the controls were enjoyable and were quite fluid. I did find that some of the enemies were pretty spongy, remember there was one like type of boss I was trying to fight. His like had a flamethrower or something, and it just became a bit of a chore. Trying to take him out and run away at the same time around this little room. But what I found with that game was they put more of an emphasis on the what was that place called? Was it like the Black Hole or something?
Dark Zone.
The online. Yeah, that's it. I was close, but yeah, they put too much emphasis on that, and I don't know why. Maybe I'm not competitive enough to want to spend all my time doing these little missions with other players, and then for them to just stab me in the back and take everything. I know we spoke about it last time. There were consequences about them doing that, but that still didn't really. That I just found that kind of pointless in my own head. So I'm hoping with 2 they focus a bit more on the actual story and single player part of it. Which might entice me to get on board, but other than that, I'm not really that fussed.
Okay, brilliant. All right, then. Right, so next one is... Oh, God. Next one is a skating game called Session was teased.
Do you really want to get into this, Chris?
Okay, right. So, I've been really wanting to see Skate 4 come out. The servers came back up for Skate 3, so everyone was kind of really prepped and hyped for Skate 4 to be announced by EA. They didn't release it, they didn't announce it, and then Microsoft decided to take this kickstarted project called Session and show it on their conference. Now, I've played Session many months ago, ages ago, when it was first on Kickstarter, because I got really excited, and it controlled like arse. Like, literally, it was like I was holding 2 butt cheeks and manipulating the game in that way. It controlled like some complete arse. Basically, what you have to do is your left stick and your right stick both manipulate the controls of what's the word? Okay, let's start again. Skate 3 allows you to just like flick with the right stick. Yeah, brilliant, great. It is really intuitive. You can do all the moves you can do. However, Session has meant that your left foot and your right foot are mapped to both the left stick and the right stick. So in order to do just a simple ollie, you need to flip both of them at the same time. And the only reason they've done this is so they don't get sued by Skate for copying their control scheme. It's a horrible system. It's an extra level of kind of mucking around and fucking up the whole system. And it is not intuitive. It is not fun. And I've been playing it with like several friends because they smashed their Kickstarter goal, and I don't know why. It controls terribly, and it should not have been at the Xbox conference unless they've taken some time to really refine the control scheme to not make it as unintuitive as possible, because at the moment it's just a horrible thing. I've got it on my PC. I loaded it up again today and realised just how terrible it was again. So I've experienced that. I'm going to have Vietnam flashbacks for like from this Session teaser. It was terrible.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even know how to friggin' ollie in real life. So if you're expecting me to do it with my thumbs, I'm not going to be able to do it. A kickflip on skate is just a simple, down, up to the right or left movement, and it felt great because it felt like, this is actually how you do a kickflip. Like you flick it, your foot off to the right, but if I've now got to think about 2 separate legs to do this, it's not going to go well. I'll be amazed to see how they do like some of the grab moves and stuff like that, but we'll never find out because I'm never going to play it. Literally, when they showed off that Session thing, I was like you, really excited because I thought, oh my god, this is Skate 4. These crazy bastards have finally done it. But as soon as they said Session, I just heard that because I was like, wow, this is not the game I wanted it to be at all.
No, it's really disappointing. And if you looked at the Gamers Crib chat, the moment it came on, I knew immediately what it was on the first image. I was like, this is not Skate. So I didn't get excited at all. I was just pissed off.
It looked it looked kind of promising. Like the graphics looked really good, and like the camera angle looked like the kind of skate camera angle, and like he was landing on the rails, and I was like, "Holy shit, this might actually be the game I've been waiting for." And then it just session, and I was like, "Oh dear, that's not what I wanted at all."
Okay, well, sorry for ranting about that. Dean, is there any opinions you may have on this? And then we move on.
I found what's that? I found skate kind of complicated to control, so I doubt I'm going to feel any better about this one.
You won't. Don't even bother.
Well, all this skateboard games reminds me that we need a new Dave Mirra BMX freestyling game.
Do we?
Yes.
What about Matt Hoffman?
With that weird guy with the giant Marge Simpson hair. That's what we need.
Let's just bring it back to BMX Triple X. It's fine.
But yeah, I've actually got a copy of that in my shop, and I'm so interested in it. I kind of want to boot on my PS2 just to give it a go.
You should. You should just let your partner watch you play it. It's like she comes in and then suddenly, what is this? You're like, nothing. It's BMX
just a game,
Triple X,
babe. Like, what are you on about? There's nothing weird going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, God. Okay. Anyway, that's a topic for another. That's another day. That's another day. Let's move on with the E3 stuff. Let's talk now, not crappy PS2 titles. Okay. Next thing that Microsoft announced was Devil May Cry 5, which was announced with a trailer.
So into this, dude. Love Devil May Cry. Like, literally, have you seen that the soundtrack, the song that they use, Devil Trigger, has like topped iTunes? Like, people love it. And as soon as, like, I didn't know what it was going to be at the start. I thought this is just going to be some generic little RPG. And then as soon as Nero pulled out his sword, mate, and revved it, I was like, oh boy, I'm so looking forward to this. I was one of the very few people that like really liked DMC. Like, I played that game to death. It got to a point where I got like a 300 hit combo with an enemy in the air and stuff like that. I learned everything there was to learn about that game. So now that I know that they're carrying it on from the fourth one, which I liked as well, and Nero's going to be the main character now, not Dante, and even Dante's going to be in now. He's all bearded up, and Virgil's going to be coming back. Like, I'm so into this, dude. Like, if it's made by the same people who made DMC, which I'm not too sure if it is, this will be on my pre-order list as soon as I can put it on there. And just to total it off with the sort of badass redneck mechanic girl. Oh, that was the one bit that actually made me lean forward in my seat and go, okay, I'm interested in this game convention now.
What about you, Dean?
Well, I always enjoyed the original Devil May Cry, but I'm a bit confused. So DMC was like a reboot of the series, and now they're going back to Devil May Cry 5. How does that kind of warrant DMC as pointless?
No, DMC was a kind of a prequel. Basically, DMC is young Dante. It's before he became like the big badass demon hunter he is now. It was back when he was a sort of like arsehole teenager that didn't give a shit. Kind of discovering.
That would explain the hair.
Yeah,
then.
so basically, there was a couple of little visual gags in DMC, because basically at the end of the game he gets his white hair, and it kind of shows you how he got his white hair. And there's a couple of little bits in the game, like you're fighting a boss in a sort of carnival area, and then a white wig falls on his head, and he looks in the mirror at the white wig and says, "No, never going to happen," or something like that, and throws it aside. So there was a couple of gags, because the developers knew that people were going to get pissed off at the whole black hair thing. To be honest, I've played like all the Devil May Cries, and I actually love the young Dante design out of all of them. I thought they got him perfect. So if they carry this over, this sort of like dickhead badass attitude, onto Devil May Cry 5 with Nero, I'm well into it.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad. Well, I'm glad that you kind of enjoyed it, because I put it in as the things to really talk about. But the problem being is I don't really have an opinion on Devil May Cry, so I was hoping one of you two guys would. I played DMC.
Well, it's quite a big thing, isn't it? Really.
Well, I played DMC, like half of it, and then I switched off, and I played the entirety of Devil May Cry 2 and hated it. So
is that which one is the really, really bad one? 2 or 3, it's like it's shit. It's really bad.
I think it's Devil May Cry 2 because it had 2 discs with it. You could play, one disc was a female character, one disc was Dante, and I just couldn't get into it. But I've heard that that's the worst one of the bunch, and that's the only one I've played pretty much all the way through.
It's weird as well, actually, because I think Devil May 2... Sorry, I think Devil May Cry 2 is actually set... I think it's set either after Devil May Cry. It's set somewhere along the timeline. It basically happens before 5, so the timeline is a little bit messed up. But I know that the reason why it probably wasn't received very well is because it didn't really make sense as far as the timeline. Because I know it's meant to be, it's kind of like a Star Wars thing. It's meant to be slotted in somewhere, but it's not necessarily the second in the timeline.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, then. With that, let's move on. Okay, right. So, a new Battletoads game got announced. We know nothing about it. It'll feature 3-player co-op, 4K hand-drawn animations, and a release in 2019. I don't know whether Battletoads was the best. I really enjoyed it on the SNES, but have people been really wanting a Battletoads sequel?
I've never played it. Wasn't there already one on 360?
I think that was a re-release of one of the other games, but there was an NES version, there was a SNES version. There was probably about 5 entries, and they're all okay. I remember enjoying them mainly because it was 2D side-scrolling Streets of Rage style, but it had some comedy to it, and it was made by I think it was made by Rare as well, and
yeah, they were.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm really interested in is seeing the 4K hand-drawn animations, because if it's if they're gonna kind of like create an art style very similar to Cuphead, where it's kind of really nice and animated, I would love that, and I love that style of visuals. So I don't know. I guess I might be interested, but I don't know. It's a bit lukewarm on this. I don't know if you guys have any better opinions on it.
All I know about Battletoads is that it's famously difficult, and that was it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, pretty much. The 4K hand-drawn part kind of makes me giggle. I'm not really sure how 4K hand-drawn stuff can get, but
I guess they're not using vector graphics.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
They're just painting on a really, really big billboard or something.
Yeah.
And scaling it down. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is Just Cause 4 has been released. Well, it's not been released. Sorry about that. It's been announced. It's going to be releasing on December the 4th. I am really looking forward to this. I love Just Cause 3. What I do not love is the performance that it has on both the Xbox One and the PS4 version. So they need to sort that shit out. But what I really like about it is that they are implementing the weather system. So there's tornadoes, there's other various of storms like lightning, and this will impact how the game plays. And I really love that idea. I think it would be really fun to just play around with like tornadoes and like throw people into them. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I finished the second one, finished the third, probably will play the fourth. Yeah, I don't like the fact that they don't include the jetpack. I had so much fun with the Sky Fortress DLC, flying around on that jetpack. If they bring it back in the fourth one, I'll be really happy, because that was some of the best times I had on that game with that jetpack. So I'll be eagerly awaiting the release of that DLC.
Yeah, that jetpack was amazing. Dean, any thoughts?
I'm not really that interested. I'm not really that interested. It looks fun, but it's not really my cup of tea.
Okay. Don't move on then. Do you want to talk about this? I might move that. I'm going to move this into the rest section, because I don't think we want to talk about that. You'll see what it is in a bit. All right. Okay. There we go.
Mysterious.
That's done. Yeah. I'll tell you what it is in a bit. And the final one, the big finish, which I think it's been Elliot who's been really looking forward to talk about it, was the trailer for CD Projekt's Cyberpunk 2077.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm going to let Elliot take the stage and talk about why he's excited about it.
Right, the reason why I'm excited about this is because CD Projekt Red do good. Like, my friend was watching it over my shoulder because as I told you, I think in our first podcast, I was planning on streaming it in the shop, and I did. And we basically had it on my little phone underneath the desk, and I was really happy to see it come up on the screen. It was a massive surprise to me, and I was so happy. Basically, it looks like it looks like what Deus Ex wants to be, and it's got the developer behind it to make it amazing. I've seen a couple of extra things that have popped up about it, like it's going to be a first-person RPG, which again ticks all the boxes that I like. And it just looks amazing. You always look at a trailer of a game and think, it's not going to look that good. But honestly, I think the boys over at CD Projekt Red are going to make this good. It looks so much fun. The world looks so interesting. The characters look so amazing. The girl that was doing her makeup in the screen, and then she had like half a face because the rest of it was like metallic. Oh, dude, I was like, it just looks so cool. And I think that they have really, because basically the Witcher series is based upon a book series, right, that a guy had written, and his name escapes me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So CG Projekt Red kind of took this on.
Polish guy.
Yeah, he was a Polish guy. But it's basically, they took the book and made a game out of it, and it was amazing, just based upon written text. And if they now...
There's multiple books, I think.
Yeah, so it's a whole series. There's a couple of graphic novels of it as well. They're really cool. But the fact now that they're able to run with something completely new, and they're going to kind of decide on their own path with it, I just think it's going to be so cool. And I saw a little thing on Facebook that actually shows that in The Witcher 3, they mentioned the world of Cyberpunk. Like, there was a bit where Geralt sat Ciri down and asked her about all the worlds that she'd been to while she was running away from the main bad guy. And she's brought up a world where they didn't have horses, they had these things called cars, and they flew, and people could be transported. It was just like a real dystopian, like, technological future, and Geralt kind of wiped off as, shut up, Ciri, you're being an idiot, or something like that. And I was like, she's talking about Cyberpunk! So when it flashed up on the screen, and it just looked like Blade Runner on crack, man. I'm looking forward to it so much. But, we'll look forward to 2038 when it finally comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally looking forward to it. As soon as I can pre-order it, I will book a week off work to play it, and you will not see me for a long time. Yeah, totally my thing that I'm looking forward to on this.
Other than to talk about
exactly.
the game.
If you want to text me and go, Elliot, how's it going? I'll just text back, great, with a full stop, and then just carry on playing, because that's too much time already wasted.
I've been really wanting to play it, but CD Projekt's created The Witcher. Did they make any other games, or has they only made Witcher games?
To be honest, I'm not too sure. The Witcher games are the only ones I've really kind of paid attention to. I'm actually quite interested in this now. Let's have a look.
Yeah, the first Witcher game I remember when I used to work at Game Station was this massive box, and it just used to come in occasionally, and I used to be like in awe of it because it was a game that I never heard of, but it had like about 18 Game of the Year stickers attached to the front of this box, and I was like, wow, okay, this must be a good game, but I don't have a PC to run it. And there's always been disappointing because I've never actually... I own it on PC now, which is great. And I own The Witcher 2 on Xbox One. And I own Witcher 3 on both Xbox One and the PS4. And I have not gotten past an hour of gameplay for any of them. And that makes me really sad because I kind of feel...
crying shame.
I feel that I'm missing out. But the thing is that I don't quite like the magic system. And I don't know... I'm not too fond of like switching between two different types of swords. And I like it to be a little less complicated because I'm a simple man with simple pleasures. And this Cyberpunk 2077 appeals to me because, you know what, it's a shooter. And if they're going to say it's an RPG first and it's a shooter second, brilliant. I'm happy with that. I get to play in first person because I can understand like all of the Elder Scrolls games or Fallout games. But Witcher has been a bit complicated, especially when there's the kind of alchemy potion section. I got really lost on that as well. I had no idea what to do.
You spend hours in that inventory system. And one of the things... similar to you, I tried to pick up The Witcher at first, got completely lost with it, and sort of put it down and didn't come back to it for a while. But a friend of mine at work managed to convince me to pick it up again. I got completely lost in the inventory. I didn't understand what the alchemy was. The whole magic system and the skill tree completely lost me as well. And I'm quite an adequate, I'm quite a keen RPG player, so I like to think that I know about these kind of things. But yeah, I got completely lost in The Witcher. However, when you actually know what you're doing with it, it becomes very simple. And that thing that you said about switching the two swords type, you'll be happy to know that the game does it for you. If you go up against human characters, it will get your steel out. If you go up against monsters, it will get your silver out, and you'll actively have to put them away.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that. The game is very, I think it understands that it's a huge, complex game, so it tries to dumb it down a little bit for you. So another reason, Chris, to pick it up, God damn it.
I haven't. I have all the DLC as well. I have the Game of the Year edition.
So the Game of the Year edition is on sale at the moment. It's even more of a reason to get it.
It's fine. I have the Game of the Year edition on. No, I have The Witcher 3 on PS4, PS4. Then I bought the DLC because it was on offer digitally. Then I was like, okay, I'll get it on Xbox One because it's supposed to be the best version with the best graphics. So I bought that, and then I bought all the DLC for that as well. And I still haven't got past the first hour or so. I would love to play it, but I just don't have the time.
The DLC is incredible as well, man.
I want to give it a try. I want to give it a go. Cyberpunk 2077 looks amazing. I'm looking forward to it, and it might get me into The Witcher because it might show me more of CD Projekt's narrative in terms of what they are able to produce in the world, and maybe I'll be able to go back and get into it, because this is what I did with Elder Scrolls. I couldn't get into that for God knows how long. Then I started playing it, and I loved it.
Yeah, hopefully it grips you as much as it gripped me. Yep. Book a week off for Cyberpunk.
It's a long game, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 days off with nothing really to do. I did plan on finishing God of War, so I did that this week. So maybe I should give The Witcher a try. I've still got it installed on my Xbox One, so maybe I'll just play that tomorrow.
Definitely.
Let's see. Anyway,
yeah, go for it.
Anything I want to say on The Witcher? Well, not The Witcher, Cyberpunk 2077, or should we move on to the next pit?
Yes, I'm very excited about it. Because, like Elliot, I absolutely adore Witcher. I think CD Projekt Red what they do is just amazing. And you can see a lot of love and passion goes into their projects. So that's one reason to be excited for Cyberpunk. I just think I've heard a lot of people say that a lot of people have tried doing this Blade Runner style in games lately, and the only one that comes to mind to me is Deus Ex. So unless I've missed other ones that have gone for this style, but it seems like they've really nailed that look, going by the trailers. Just with the characters, and it just oozes that sort of that style, sort of like neo 80s sort of look. So yeah, I wish that they'd give you the option to do third person as well as first, because I'm more of a third person.
I'm going to jump in here and say, Dean, they've actually confirmed that the cutscenes will be third person. So even though you'll be primarily playing the game in first person, the sweet leather jacket you picked up off an enemy can be seen in cutscenes.
Can be
seen. So it's still it's almost borrowing from Deus Ex, which is because that's the way they did it in Deus Ex. The game is first person, but the cutscenes are third. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I liked Deus Ex as well. I just feel like Cyberpunk's got a little bit more vibrancy to it. There's a little bit more colour and flavour to the overall art style.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for this, but I think we're going to be waiting a little while.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it looks incredible. Okay, right, let's move on to... This is still the Xbox conference. I think they showed off a lot more, and I guess I kind of give them a lot of credit, because when I started watching it, I was like, okay, this is a bit rubbish, but listening to all of it back and reflecting on it, they've had a pretty good show, I think. So let's move on.
It wasn't a bad one.
No, right, okay. Let's move on. So the rest. So these are all the bits of the rest that we don't really want to talk about very often, but they're still, some of them are pretty cool. So first one is Ori and the Will of the Wisp. It's a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest. They got a trailer, and the game will be releasing in 2019. I love the art style. It's a beautiful game. Looking forward to it. That's all I have to say about it. Elliot?
I unfortunately never played the first Ori, but I played about 10 minutes of it on a gentleman's Xbox when he was trading it into my shop, and I was kind of encapsulated in it in that first 10 minutes. I really like the art style as well. I think they've done a really good job with it. So if I can get the first one on cheap, just to get me into it, I will definitely try this one out.
Brilliant. And Dean?
It's probably the only game that makes me wish I had an Xbox One.
I think you can't really sum it up much better than that. So, brilliant. Get an Xbox One and get this then, Dean. There's also...
I've been thinking about it.
I don't know. I mean, from what I can tell, I think they've had a decent conference, but, let's see. You need to save some pennies up, Dean. So...
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. On June 26th, there's a free game being released set in the Life is Strange universe called The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. I really like the look of this. Didn't like Life is Strange Episode 1, got bored, but this reminds me of Son of Rambo, and I really like that. So,
yeah, it looks cute. I wasn't going to jump off to the shop to get it. If it's on sale one day, I might give it a go.
It's free.
But is it free? Oh, brilliant.
It's completely free.
I might give it a go then, just if it's free. It's not going to be high on my priority list, but if I get bored one day, I might give it a little go. It looks cute. It looks cute. That's my review. It looks cute.
That's fine, Dean.
It reminds me a little bit of Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, it does.
Where he kind of imagines this little world. But I really wasn't turned on by Life is Strange.
So you're in the same boat as me.
I'm really not that fussed. But you say it's free, so if it's free, then I might try it.
Yeah, give it a try. Right, Microsoft is developing new technology to allow players to play console-quality games over a streaming internet connection. So, yeah, that's happening. I don't really want to know what you guys think about this because we've already discussed it very briefly with EA. So, there you go. Sorry, guys, I'm vetoing your opinion out of this one.
Right,
Player Unknown. Shut up. No.
I had so much to say on that.
Moving on. Player Unknown Battlegrounds got a new trailer. Right, I'm moving on. You guys don't want to talk about that, do you?
Nope.
Yeah.
No, brilliant.
No.
Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition gets an anime trailer. So, that was released. I hear a lot of people really enjoying that. Fine, not my cup of tea, but don't know if anyone wants to have any opinion on this.
I've got it on 360, but I have only played about 10 minutes of it, so I can't really say anything. But it's a good series. So
okay, Elliot.
Not a person for JRPGs at all. Doesn't interest me whatsoever.
Brilliant. Okay, The Division, ESO, Tamriel Unlimited. That's Elder Scrolls Online, Tamriel Unlimited, and Fallout 4 are all now on Game Pass. So that's nice. I don't really think we need to talk about that, unless any of you guys want to talk about your love of Elder Scrolls Online.
Nope. Elder Scrolls Online
was but I would like to. So.
Yeah. And then there was an indie sizzle reel shown, which showed off some really cool games. Some of them I've had the experience of playing before, and I think you guys should get. So I'm going to run through them now. I don't know what any of them are, all of them, but there was Fringe Wars, After Party, Below, Conqueror's Blade, Waking, Raji, Super Meat Boy Forever, Islands of Nine, Sable, Harold Halibut, Bomber Crew, Children of Mortar, The Wind Road, Wargroove, Generation Zero, Dead Cells, and Ashen. For me, highlights of that are Bomber Crew, which is a really nice kind of management game where you have a plane which you get to manage, and they go on a bombing run. Really cool. And Dead Cells, which is kind of like 2D side-scrolling Dark Souls type game. Really nice, really cool. And Super Meat Boy Forever it's Super Meat Boy, brilliant. So, don't know if there's any of those games you guys are really interested in.
Super Meat Boy looks fun. I tried the first one and it was good. Although my brain cells aren't, I haven't got enough of them to understand how that game works. I've seen some people speed run it and it looks so impressive. But you know, the one thing I love the most about it is when you actually finish the level, you get to look back at all the meats that you killed, and they all travel as one. It's basically all your attempts cut into one attempt, and there's if you failed this thing over and over again, there's hundreds of these meats just getting murdered on the screen, and it was really funny to see like one get through. You know what I mean? Like the champion of the meats gets through.
Yeah.
So that's
it's really satisfying.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah. Dean, any of these ones interest you? You can say no. It's fine.
No. Well, I guess so. Some of them, but I can't remember exactly what they all look like.
We'll probably have more time to talk about them later.
I know Super Meat Boy, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry for rushing you guys. It's already an hour and 7 minutes, and we are.
No, it's fine.
We're only on the second conference.
That's okay.
My God. Right, there was a new Shadow of the Tomb Raider trailer shown. I don't know if you guys want to talk about this. I haven't played Rise of the Tomb Raider, but you know, Tomb Raider's fun, but it looked a bit too stealthy for me.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, Chris. I don't like everything. Just seems to be stealthy and creep around everything at the moment, even like open world games.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh well.
I'd swap it for a new Uncharted game in a second. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah. That's a shame. I thought we'd have someone here who would absolutely adore Tomb Raider, but oh well. I like it, but it's fine. Cuphead's getting new DLC called A Delicious Last Course. Will feature new game content as well as a new female playable character called Miss Chalice.
Now, does that mean that this is going to be 3-player now instead of 2, or does it literally mean that one of you can you can play the game with 2 male characters and then 1 male and 1 female, or is it 3-player?
I would hope it would be 3-player. That'd be really nice, but I get the feeling it might break some of the game mechanics. Interesting question. I don't have the details, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, good. I saw 3 characters and I thought that seems to be what they're going for here. But yeah, if it's just down to you can pick the 2 male characters or pick the female, then you know, there we go.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Dean, anything you want to say about that?
Well, Cuphead's another game that I regret not having an Xbox for. But I guess DLC for that is good.
Yeah, good.
So
brilliant.
That's all I have to say.
DLC is good. You heard it here, folks. Straight from Dean's mouth.
For Cuphead, at least.
There's a new Gears RTS coming, but it's going to be with Funko Pops. I hate these Funko Pop things, so this may be quite angry. I don't know how you guys feel.
I'm not really a Gears of War fan, not an RTS fan. I like Funko Pops, but it just looks like it was a bit gimmicky, bit tacked on. Won't be playing this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
they want to sell toys, don't they?
I think the best bit about it was just it was almost like a troll, because they were like they showed the Gears logo and everyone was like, woo, and then suddenly this kind of Funko Pop version of Marcus Phoenix pops on stage and like everyone's just kind of silent. I was like, that's the most hilarious thing, because these people expected, you know, the proper Gears of War to come out.
It fell flatter than that piece of wall that fell out of the wall. It was just weird. It was a bit like the Session thing for us. Like, we got trolled out of Skate 4 with Session, and the Gears of War fans got trolled out of it with Funko Pops.
Yeah, but thankfully those people who like Gears, there's a Gears 5 coming, so it's not all bad. So I don't know, I've not played a Gears since Gears 2, only because I kind of feel it's a co-op experience, and I've not had people who want to play Gears of War games with me, even though I loved Gears of War 1 and 2, so it's probably going to be a miss for me.
Chris, we'll get on the Xbox 360 and I'll go through Gears 2 and 3 with you.
Okay, brilliant. And 4?
I haven't got an Xbox One.
Oh, have you not? You need to get an Xbox One, maybe, Dean. This is what I'm hearing from this conversation.
It depends on how good Gears 5 is, because I didn't hear great things about 4. So we'll see.
Oh well. Should we move on to next game?
Yeah.
There was a game called Tunic, which is kind of Zelda inspired. It was a cute looking indie game. I don't really have anything to say about this, so I'm happy to move on.
Yeah, all good. Yep.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, this is kind of cool. Jump Force is a new anime crossover fighting game from Bandai Namco. There's characters from Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, and even Death Note. What I found this really interesting is because on the old DS, I used to play this game called Jump All Stars, and it was imported, and it was amazing. It was like kind of a handheld version of Super Smash Brothers, but with all of the people from Shonen Jump, and it was really cool. I'm surprised it's taken them so long to release this, but no, I'm really looking forward to it.
It looks cool. I've got to say, every single time that Goku is not in a Dragon Ball Z game, he looks amazing. Like, whoever designed Goku's design in Dragon Ball Z games needs to take a look at someone else, because he looked awesome in that trailer. Not to say that the Xenoverse 2 Goku doesn't look good, because their graphics are really nice, but he was just that extra bit shiny. I don't know. But yeah, it might be one to look at for me. I'm not really into anime fighters. My love for Dragon Ball Z might not be able to sway me to get this, but if my mate's got it, I might borrow it off him, or if a copy comes into the shop, I might give it a play. But Goku looks sick, and I've no fucking clue how they're going to get the Death Note people to fight. Is he just going to write Frieza's name in the book and he's just going to die, or is he going to send the Shinigami forward to have a fight, or is Light going to fight? I just don't know how they're going to do that. It would be interesting to see.
Yeah. How about you, Dean?
Well, I remember the game that you mentioned, Jump All Stars, and I always wanted that, but never got around to getting it. So maybe this will be a form of redemption for me with that.
Yeah, it'd be really nice. Okay, brilliant. Last thing from the Xbox conference was a game called Dying Light 2 was announced, and you know it's very similar to Dying Light 1. However, they're saying that there are genuine consequences in kind of quotation marks. Basically meaning that the world changes based on your decisions. Sometimes you mess it up, but the problem I have is that, well, when they were saying, oh, you could be helping this guy, and this positive thing will happen, but this negative thing will happen, so it's just like, no one ever wins, really.
Yeah.
So every single choice has a positive, every single choice has a negative, and it just seems like, I don't know, I don't like that in games where like you have a buff and a debuff at the exact same time, because it's like, well, I don't know, it just makes me feel like I don't get any better, or I don't feel like I've really achieved anything. I don't know, it's a weird system.
I'm personally really looking forward to Dying Light 2 because I love the first one. So I'll definitely be getting this.
Dean?
I enjoyed the first one quite a bit. I never completed it because I played it on a friend's PlayStation and I couldn't carry over the save file. But I feel if they're going to go down this sort of calmer route with the missions, they should do it more in the style of Skyrim, where one or two big missions have that effect. So and the risks and rewards should be emphasized more in that way, so you know you can decide which way you want to go. But I don't think they should do it for every mission or as an overall game theme. But you know, they can only improve on the first one, really, I suppose. So yeah, I'm interested in it. We'll see.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, that's an interesting one. I have it, but I haven't actually played it. It's another one of my games where I own it and I don't own it. I've never played it, so there's too many games out there for one man to play. It's a shame. But, you know, a blessing and a curse.
It's a hard world.
Right, so that's the end of the Microsoft conference. It's been so long, I almost forgot which conference this was for.
Yeah.
So I think it's done really well. I think they're really happy with that. But let's move on to, and this is probably a conference that neither of you watched, called the Devolver Digital Conference.
I watched some of it, and really, man, I was like, what the hell is going on?
My God, it's It certainly is a thing. It's almost like it takes the mick out of traditional E3 conferences. Like there was a section where they were like,
Yeah.
"Here's the." Did you get to the bit with the loot box coin?
Yeah.
My God, it's the
Yeah.
cryptocurrency. No one
I
knows.
think I turned off after that bit.
Yeah, are you? Well, I don't know. Did you see my friend Pedro before or after that?
Maybe after.
Yeah, well, my friend Pedro was the best thing about that conference. I really love the style of it. Basically, it's a slow-mo side-scrolling shooter, and instead of just like being a traditional side-scrolling shooter with like you jump, you move left, you move right, the player performs all these kind of elegant flips and these action stunts. So you can like kick a head at someone, or you start doing skateboarding, and then when you're going down ropes, you're doing this kind of like weird rope dancing thing, and all these flips all over the place, and it's all in slow motion. It's really cool. I really want to play it, and it's the only trailer at E3 that kind of stuck with me, and I've watched it like 3 or 4 times because I just really love the look of it. So, Elliot, if you haven't had a chance to watch My Friend Pedro, you should definitely check out the trailer because it's really incredible.
Yeah, I mean, the one
does
thing,
look cool.
the reason why I didn't watch the Devolver Digital thing was I don't really know too much about them. However, last year they did a cool little convention and I didn't see most of it. However, when I did flick onto it, there was a woman on stage clapping like a maniac, bleeding heavily from the nose. And I was like, what the hell is this? And then when I found out the whole thing was kind of like a little sort of joke, or at least a parody, I immediately got a bit more interested. So if they're coming out on stage and taking the piss out of gaming as a whole, yeah, I'll give it a look. There might be a couple of good laughs in there. So yeah, I'll try it one night, maybe on my break at work or something.
Yeah,
It's definitely something.
Yeah, she returns, so it's the same person.
Brilliant.
But my God, I had to kind of sit down and think for a little while. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's a conference with no real revealings of the games. They revealed 3 games. A game called Scum, and there was another game which was a Metal Gunwolf, which was a re-release of a game which is well known for having really terrible voice acting, and they've kept the terrible voice acting intact. So there's a bit where like the president is piloting a mech suit, and for some reason he just shouts out "Michael," and then the next scene is Daniel, and it's just I don't know. I mean,
It's ridiculous.
I love terrible voice acting. Shenmue, House of the Dead, I adore it so much because it kind of adds a little bit of charm to it. And I would love to see a new game which focuses on terrible voice acting, but actually kind of plays on that kind of element within the game itself. So it's a really good game, but the voice acting is terrible, and it's terrible for a particular reason, which just gets revealed as you play further and further into the game. And I've not seen anything like that yet, but it would be lovely to see it.
Just having the last boss is just this incomprehensive moron just stumbling through his lines. I think it'd be really funny.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That's the aim of the game, to get everyone talking
Yeah.
normally again.
So that's the end of the Devolver Digital Conference. So glad we talked about that. One great game and a few other games and just complete nonsense. Next up, we have Bethesda. We're going to kind of try and squeeze through most of this because you still have the Square Enix, the Ubisoft, the Sony, and the Nintendo. My God. Okay, let's get through this. So the Bethesda. Yes, I'm going to probably kind of cut down some of this. I was going to talk about Andrew WK. I'm going to talk about him, but you guys aren't going to say too much because I love Andrew WK. He was amazing and a brilliant talent. And I just loved his enthusiasm when he came onto stage, even though no one really knew what he was doing or clapped or anything. So
He did a good performance. It was entertaining to watch. A little bit awkward, but it was funny to see him do that. I really like that song as well.
yeah, I've gone out and downloaded loads of Andrew WK songs from my Amazon Music account. So I've downloaded like his 4 or 5 albums. So I'm listening to that on the commute. Rage 2 had a bit of gameplay showing. Kind of feels like it's a bit superhero-y because the character can use stomping abilities, and they seem to be unlocking new abilities as they go on. And that sounds really cool. It reminds me a little bit of Bulletstorm. So it's kind of a mixture of like Mad Max, Bulletstorm, and Doom. And I'm up for that. That's fine by me. How about you guys?
Go ahead, Dean. I'm kind of impartial about Rage 2.
I'm not really that fussed about Rage 2, and I didn't actually watch the conference. I watched a catch-up thing on it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
If you have no opinions, Dean, just say no opinions. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's not stick to one thing.
Go for it.
Brilliant. Elliot?
No opinions on it, honestly.
Doom Eternal was announced. It's a sequel with twice as many demons and will let us see hell on Earth. So it's going to be set place on Earth. It's just going to be the same thing as Doom, and I'm happy with that as well.
Yeah, totally looking forward to this. Really enjoyed the first Doom. Can't wait to see if id can pull it out of the bag twice. And can't wait to see that crazy Aussie get behind the metal guitar again and shred out some more amazing soundtrack.
Dean, anything?
No opinion really.
Okay, great. I had a bit of a problem with Doom because I got stuck in this room with lava and I could not progress because of a bug. So I was stuck running around this room for 40 minutes and not able to find the exit.
I'd definitely try and revisit it if you can, because it's a lot of fun.
I'll try, but we'll see. Wolfenstein Youngblood has been announced. It's set in the 80s and you play as BJ's and Anya's twins. So the game can be played in solo or in co-op. I'm looking forward to this. I really loved Wolfenstein 2. Combat was a bit meh, but the actual kind of narrative was fun. I don't know what happened with the combat. It just didn't feel like hits registered. Not as well as the first Wolfenstein game, where I thought it was just top-notch and amazing and brilliant. So I don't know what you guys think about this.
No opinion on it.
No opinion.
That's a shame. I was hoping for a co-op buddy to play through with it, but oh well, I'll have to continue looking. Oh god, it's the big one. Fallout 76.
Loads of opinions on this.
My god, okay, right. What am I going to do? How much time shall I give Elliot to talk about Fallout 76?
I'll try to be as quick and precise as I can.
Dean, have you got any opinions?
No, I'm not really that interested in this. I don't like the whole online feature of it, really.
Okay.
So that's about it.
I'm going to share my opinion before we let Elliot loose so I can kind of just, stop him when we need to move on. I really enjoyed the conference. There was like 3 or 4 videos that were really interesting to see. I really love how they delivered the presentation. I loved how far along it also seems that the development has progressed in relative secrecy. And I also am really excited about the online portion of it. And this is something really interesting for me. The moment you saw someone else fire at you, at the very bottom of the screen, there was a notification telling you someone's opened fire. Now you get a credit or you get a reward for killing them before they kill you. And in Sea of Thieves, there's no such thing like that because it's just a free-for-all. Anyone can kill anyone without any any kind of consequences. So if they've managed to find a way to discourage people from shooting first, I'm really excited to see where that comes from, what they're going to do with that. Because if you keep shooting first, maybe what will happen is you will get marked, or maybe there'll be a way for you to kind of be... similar to how the Dead Zone works, or the Dark Zone from Division. So I've been mentioning this for like a few episodes, and I think they may already be there in that kind of mechanic. And if that's the case, because they didn't mention anything about that, but I saw it in the video and I was really excited about that. The only thing I'm not excited about is seeing the section where you can drop nukes on people. But if you're in a shared world and I'm just mucking around doing whatever I feel like and a nuke destroys my entire town, I'm going to feel kind of cheated because unless they kind of tell you the nuke's going to drop in 5 minutes, pack up your shit and get out of there, But if it's just nukes are just coming in like 5 seconds, you're dead, it's not going to feel satisfying for me to die to something that I had no way to defend myself from. Overall, really excited. I'm going to get it. I'm still umming and ahhing about picking up the version with the power armor helmet. So, that's my opinion. Elliot, please share your opinion on Fallout 76.
Okay, it's gonna be amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. My friend and I have been massive Fallout and Skyrim in general Bethesda fans for a long time, and it's exactly how Todd Howard put it. He said that he loved, going around a friend's house, or at least two people meeting up and telling each other about these amazing adventures they had on Fallout. But wouldn't it be amazing to do it together? And it's exactly the game that me and my friend have been asking for since we were, just started playing Fallout 3. He put it really nicely by saying, don't worry, this game isn't going to be like this hardcore survival game. So even though, Chris, you might get killed by a nuke, it sounds to me like you'll just be kind of dead and then you'll respawn and you can carry on from where you left off. I don't think... But Bethesda are clever. They know that some people will get pissed off at that, including me for one of them, because if that happened, it would suck. The idea that we can play it by ourselves, completely solo, or with friends that can just drop in, drop out, is an amazing little feature. I'm just really looking forward to it. I think Bethesda have really, it just feels like they've sat down and they've really thought about whether or not they can do this game multiplayer, and they've looked at all the bad things about doing a multiplayer game, they've looked at all the good things, and they've got a really nice mix of the two. It looks like Fallout, it looks like it plays like Fallout. The world looks incredible. We're not just going to have this brown, empty wasteland. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with it. And I'm definitely going to be booking a week off work to go and crawl out in the Fallout with my friends.
That was much more concise than I thought you would be, Elliot. So congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, I can carry on, but I'll do my own podcast on that. I tell you, that'll be on 3 hours by itself.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. If you want a vault, if you want a hand with that, like play some co-op, I'd be happy to join you guys.
Hell yeah.
That might be some... I don't know, I'm thinking about taking some time off as well. I've played Fallout 4, couldn't get into Fallout 3, but I'm really hoping I can get into this and just play this for a long time, because they're saying that they're kind of going to support it long term, and that will be very interesting to see what happens. But oh well. Anyway, let's move on to the next game, which I don't really tend to raise these because they're mobile games, but The Elder Scrolls Blades is a first-person RPG with touch inputs. It's coming out this fall and it's going to be free. I'm really looking forward to this because it looks kind of interesting to play, but I really love town management games. So if they kind of really focus quite heavily on kind of upgrading your town and making sure that you have a lot of customization options and you get to go out and adventure and get resources to build your town up, then I'm well up for it. So I'm looking forward to it, but probably not the cup of tea for you guys.
No, I'm looking forward to it, especially as it's free. I love Elder Scrolls, so Elder Scrolls on mobile, even if it is a more watered down experience, especially for free, is great. So, yeah, I'll definitely be checking that out.
Brilliant. What about you, Elliot?
I think it looks interesting. I just don't think those controls are going to be as precise as the Bethesda guys want them to be. As impressive as it looked up on stage, obviously that was a pre-recorded video. I just think it'll be a little bit iffy to get the hang of, but I might be wrong and it might play absolutely fluidly. But as much as I love Bethesda and I really enjoyed their conference, their games aren't the most stable of artworks when they first come out. So I might leave this like a week or two, or maybe even a month, just to make sure the kinks have all been worked out, and then jump on it and probably get a review from a friend of mine before I try it. But it looked cool. I think that the task they've set themselves is a big one, and I really hope it works out for them. So
why don't you wait a week or two for Fallout 76 for them to iron out the bugs?
Because I'm too much of a fanboy, and I'm going to be getting that.
Okay, next one is the first... This is really interesting, and it's a game called Starfield that Todd Howard announced, and he actually mentioned it's the first wholly new IP from Bethesda in 25 years.
Yeah, it looked cool.
How it's really amazing that they kind of like. So they for 25 years they've survived on Doom, Elder Scrolls, and Fallout. They can't have survived on Fallout, could they? Fallout isn't 25 years old, is it?
I mean, the first
Fallout?
Fallout was a PC release, and it was a really old, like, top-down adventure game. Let's have a look. I'm just going to look on the Wikipedia for it real quick. The very first Fallout.
1997.
There you go. 3 years after I was
They
born.
worked on stuff before Fallout, didn't they?
Is that 25 years?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm 23, 24 this year. So it would have been... No, it would have been 25. It's... Oh, God.
Is it 19?
No, it's... Wait, 1997, 3, 18... It's 21 years.
What was he banging on about? 25 years of not.
Was that wasn't their first game though, was it?
No, I don't think it is. I think they might have eventually done Fallout, but I don't think Bethesda's very first game was it. Let's have a look. The history.
There was an old Elder Scrolls game. So Elder Scrolls Arena.
That was one of the first Elder Scrolls, if not the first Elder Scrolls game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that came out in 1994.
Yeah, the Elder Scrolls series started in 1994.
There you go.
They did a Terminator
Which is
game in 91. Weird. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
expected Bethesda to do a Terminator game, but there we are.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, right. Well, maybe that fact is wrong. He did say 25 years, I'm sure of it. But nevertheless, it's still an impressive kind of a feat that they've managed to survive in 20 years with no new IPs and living exclusively on the Doom, Elder Scrolls and Fallout series for their internal game studios. So like studios like Prey or anything they picked up from mid Software or anywhere else. I guess id Software is Doom. So even then, that's not... Is that a Bethesda Game Studios? I don't know. Maybe I'm talking nonsense. Excuse me. Anyway, Starfield is really interesting. I would love to see someone else other than EA take a shot at kind of like a space RPG. So I'm really looking forward to this, but I don't think it's coming this generation.
No, they're going to be working on it for a long time. I actually had a discussion with a friend of mine. We think the Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield might actually be the next gen. I mean, imagine if they were release titles, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I think they're going to be waiting around for this for the next one.
Should we move on to the next section of the Bethesda highlights?
Yes.
Okay. There's only two, because I think Bethesda had a pretty decent showing. So there's only two sections where there's only two games which I don't think we really want to talk into much depth. There was an Elder Scrolls card game, which has been out for a while, now coming to the Nintendo Switch. I think coming to consoles as well. I have no opinion on this. I can't play card games. So, do you either of you play anything like Hearthstone or...
I got into Hearthstone with my missus, but I don't play it anymore.
Yeah.
What about you, Dino?
I enjoyed Hearthstone, and I enjoyed the card game that was in Final Fantasy VIII, but an Elder Scrolls card game doesn't really interest me.
I love that card game in Final Fantasy VIII, the one which is on the 3x3 grid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I used to play that so much in Final Fantasy VIII, just collecting cards. My God. And
it's incredible.
God damn it, I'll tell you what actually put me off bloody Witcher 3 was when I was forced to play a game of Gwent.
Oh, yeah.
My God, that actually kind of forced me not to play it anymore. And then I tried going back to it and just powered through that part, and then still didn't play much more of it.
Legit, Gwent, in my opinion, was one of the best parts of Witcher. It's so weird how we can have completely different... Like, we can appreciate a game, but have completely different views about it.
I was just so bad at it. I don't know whether it was because I couldn't pick up or get the right cards and stuff like that, but I just got my ass kicked every time I played Gwent.
I won against the guy that shows you how to play it, but I didn't feel like I actually understood why I won. He was like, "You won. You must be a master," and I'm like, "Well, no. I'm not too sure whether whether you can actually fail that first game."
As much as I understand, the only bit in Witcher that you can purposely fail at Gwent is where there's you basically have to go to a Gwent tournament and the game forces you to lose it to start the quest. But apart from that, I think every game can be won at some point. And Dean, I think it's down to the cards that you had, because exactly the same thing with me. I was getting my arse handed to me, and then it turns out the legendary cards that you can get on there, like the hero cards, are absolutely broken. So as soon as you make a deck with a couple of those, no one will stand a chance against you. It is literally down to the starter deck is wank.
Yeah, that's probably why. Because I just pretty much carried on through with that.
Oh well. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. So we got new modes are coming to Prey, the game. Do you remember Prey? So what is it? There's a new mode called New Game Plus and a new survival mode, which is an asymmetrical competitive mode called Typhon Hunter, in which one human character takes on a group of 5 players controlling shape-shifting mimics. It sounds kind of cool. You know, I haven't played Prey, but it's pretty much just Trouble in Terrorist Town, or is it Trouble in Terrorist Town?
I think it's just
where they hide.
It's the prop hunt. I think you're thinking of.
That's the one, Prop Hunt. Yeah, so it's basically Prop Hunt.
It is, yeah, in the Prey universe. I didn't play Prey, so I've got no opinions on this one, I'm afraid.
Dean?
Yeah, I don't know anything about Prey.
No, neither do I. I think we probably should leave that to someone else then.
Mm-hmm.
Right, brilliant. We've moved on to the Bethesda. There's only a few. Square Enix pissed me off. So I'm half tempted to just say, you know what? Let's not include them in this.
I didn't watch the Square Enix thing.
Why were you there?
Yeah, but not everyone. It's almost like they kind of felt like they had to turn up, you know.
At least make an appearance.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's not. Don't be ashamed to not go to E3 just because you don't have anything to show, because you're spending thousands of pounds, you know. And the thing is right. Okay, so this is what they've got. Okay, these are. I haven't put a single. I don't think I've actually put a single game in here. Which, yeah. So there's the Tomb Raider game, which we obviously already saw and discussed. It was already on the Microsoft conference, so I'm knocking that one off the list because, you know what? As far as I'm aware, Xbox used that for their conference, so Square Enix can't reuse it. So, done. Platinum is now making a new game called Babylon's Fall. Didn't show any gameplay, I don't think. Just showed a CGI cutscene. Already, I kind of feel a bit irritated by that. You know, that would be really nice to see. And I like Platinum, but I'm not going to talk about a CGI trailer. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Nah, not really.
Yeah, no opinion
about that one.
No opinion. Brilliant. Then they released some details about Just Cause 4. I mean, in this section, they did mention the blizzards and sandstorm and lightning and tornadoes and things. So that was kind of cool, but, you know, Xbox revealed it, or should I say Steam revealed it with their bloody putting it on the front page of Steam about a week ago. So I don't really feel that's interesting. Then there's a game called The Quiet Man. I don't know if you guys heard this.
No, I haven't heard of this one.
So it's a so it's a story-driven cinematic experience which blends live action, realistic CG, and action gameplay. It's a movie-like experience which can be completed in one sitting. So it's kind of a film/game, and looks fine, but it didn't seem to show any gameplay. It wasn't ready to be shown, and it didn't really kind of inspire, you know, it kind of give me a lot to work with in terms of excitement. So yeah, I'm not too pleased with that. Don't know how you guys feel about that. You haven't heard of it, obviously, Elliot.
Yeah, afraid no.
Dean.
It sounds like quick time events galore, and I'm not a fan of that. So
yeah, Square Enix shouldn't have been there. I think there's some good games that were announced, but they didn't need to have their own E3. It was only half an hour long, I think. So they did show some other stuff like Final Fantasy 14 add-ons, and you know me, I love Final Fantasy 14, but even that didn't excite me. So
that piqued my interest, but they're not the powerhouse company they used to be. So I think maybe in the future they should step away from E3.
well, the thing is though, is they've still got the license to make the Avengers game, and they had the perfect opportunity to kind of show some more details on that. They teased it last year with a logo and a few CG kind of scenes, but if they had released any information on that, that would be really cool to see what they would do with that, because that was being developed by Crystal Dynamics, the people who made the Tomb Raider games too, and I would have loved to see that. But oh well, not this
That would have
year.
been cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, now that's the end of the Square Enix highlights. We're going to move on to the Ubisoft. Is it Ubisoft or Ubisoft?
That is just purely down to the individual
I always
person,
say
to be honest.
Ubi.
For me, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like you, Dean. I'm like I think I've said Ubisoft once and didn't like it, so I just say you now.
Well, to some it could be Ubisoft. So.
Yeah, exactly. We won't discriminate against
knows?
the pronunciation of Ubisoft.
I think it's Ubi, yeah? And you know why? This is my theory.
Why?
Ubisoft, meaning Ubi Software.
Yep, I can see that working.
Ah.
You know, but they are French, so
Yeah. I
maybe
can see them doing
maybe
that.
they didn't consider that for English speakers. So Ubi Software is kind of a cool. I might maybe name my next studio Ubi Software.
That's like a trap as well, because then they'd have to come out and actually tell you how to pronounce their name, just in case they want to like file something against you. Because then we'll know for definite how they are.
Right. Beyond Good and Evil was shown. Teased Paige, who's the pig from the original Beyond Good and Evil, and Jade, who seemed to be a villain. I didn't play Beyond Good and Evil, but I hear there's a lot of people saying it's the one of the best games ever. I have it on Xbox One. It's downloaded. It's already on my system. It's another game that I haven't played. So I'll be interested to see what you guys think. I love the look of it. I like the setting. I think it would be really fun.
Well, I loved the first one. I didn't get around to playing it till it was remade on the 360. And I've been waiting for the sequel for quite a while. I think that the trailer they showed, the CG, looked better than the actual gameplay. Because a lot of the gameplay was him just kind of flying around in the spaceship, but I think a lot of that was to do with it still being early stages of development. But I like that you can design your own character and go from there. So it looks like it's had a few changes in its design and storyline, because over the years, how do you pronounce his name? Ansel. Is it Michael or Michelle?
Michelle.
The creator of it.
I don't know if it's
What's
Michelle.
that?
I don't know if it's Michelle.
Oh well, that's quite a popular French name, so I can't remember if he was how you pronounce it. But either way, he's the guy who made it, and he's released little teasers and stuff over the years, and it seems to be different with each little showing that he does. But it looks grand. It looks really ambitious, and yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I have one concern
Excited for that one.
about it, and that's that I kind of feel they're kind of trying to make this massive world, but I get the feeling they might create a massive world with nothing in it.
I hope not.
Yeah, they might try and No Man's Sky it a little bit, because I will say the most impressive thing I've seen about it so far was the bit where the monkey dude. Do we know his name? The monkey dude, the guy with the mechanical.
I'm hoping he's called Charlie.
It's Monkey Dude.
I'm gonna call him Monkey Dude. But basically, Monkey Dude was stood on top of a statue on like a little gameplay demo they did, and they zoomed out of the camera and they showed like the statue he was stood on. Then they zoomed out a bit more and they showed the city that the statue was in. Then they zoomed out a bit more and they showed the planet's surface that the city was on. Then they zoomed out a bit more and they showed the planet. Then they zoomed out a bit more and they showed the stars around the planet. Then they zoomed out a bit more and they showed the galaxy that the stars of the planet was in. And I'm thinking, if they can actually do that, like they managed to zoom out into a galaxy in one take, this will be incredible. But it just depends if they can pull it off right.
Yeah.
I don't think we're quite there technologically yet to kind of create engaging experiences that are that large in scope. I mean, we have a look at Super Mario Odyssey. I mean, I think the game design for Super Mario Odyssey is amazing. Me and Elliot talked about it a couple of episodes ago, where we kind of discussed how, what's incredible about that game is every single part of that game universe is used to its best. Whereas, like, when you look at things like GTA 4 or GTA 5, there's whole sections of that game world which just aren't being used, and it kind of feels empty. And, it's fine, it's impressive, it's interesting to kind of have this depth of things, but if your world isn't doing things for the player at every moment, it kind of lessens the experience. And that's why I think a game like Mario Odyssey, even though the worlds aren't huge or massive, everything feels like it should be there instead of just trying to fill in the gaps. And that's what I'm kind of a bit worried about with this game, because I just feel like we're going to have this open world and it's about getting from point A to point B, and there's not much to do between getting from point A to point B. You're just getting to your destination and you're not experiencing that kind of that emergent gameplay which just allows you to experience something different or unique. So that's how I'm a little bit nervous about this game.
Yeah, well, I'm. It depends on how open world they're going. Was they just showing you the planet and the stars to sort of impress you, or is that going to be a big part of the game where you go from planet to planet, but only explore a little part of each planet? But I reckon this game is going to be next gen. Something gives me that impression, because I still think they're very early on in development, and they only announced it last year, and I think that they had literally just started work on it last year as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like games like Ukulele that I found the same with that. It was, the levels weren't even that big, but there was a lot of nothing in them.
I remember
really...
that from the casino level, which was being shown before launch, and I think I moaned about it on the Gamers Crib Facebook page, and I was told that I was wrong, and then it came out.
Yeah, no, I remember you commenting about it actually, and you put that thought into my head, like there isn't a lot going on, and I thought to myself, they're the old Rare team, they should know what they're doing. Maybe they'll add more to it, but they just seem to keep it that same way. Even the first level I found was, it just didn't have much going on in it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Ubisoft know what they're doing with this. Really, because I think their games shine more if they're a bit more linear, like Rayman and the original Beyond Good and Evil.
Okay, well, let's move on. I think we've talked about that. We have next game is called Trials Rising, which I'm looking forward to. I loved the original Trials. I've been playing Trials Fusion recently, because that got released as part of the PlayStation Plus editions, which is still available. So if you haven't got it, download it on the PlayStation Plus. It's really good.
Still need to do that.
Yeah, make sure you do. The only thing I get a bit irritated with is I unlocked the unicorn, but now there's no tracks which let me use the unicorn. So now, yeah, a bit irritated with that. But Trials Rising looks fun. It just looks like the same thing, really. I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. If you like Trials, get it.
Yeah, same mold, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, same thing. Elliot's being very quiet.
No, I was listening to you guys natter away. I was quite enjoying the conversation. I just say Trials is fun, but there's only so much you can do with that formula. So if they find anything new to stick in the game, I'll definitely be looking up to it. I might look into it. It looks like a lot of fun, because I know I have a lot of fun on Fusion, so can't see why I can't carry over.
Cool. Okay, brilliant. Next game is a game called Skull and Bones, which is a pirate game. Very similar to Sea of Thieves. However, I think one player controls one ship, and they kind of switch back and forth between different characters, like the guy on the top of the mast, then you got the guys in the cannons. I mean, it looks really cool. The combat looks much better than Sea of Thieves, but the thing that I kind of love about Sea of Thieves is it's first person, and you get to kind of walk around and experience the ship and every single part of the components of maintaining the ship. Whereas it seems like it's very automated in Skull and Bones, and probably not for me. But I really like the look of it, and I think the combat looks like it will just kind of blow Sea of Thieves out of the water.
Yeah, it does look like a much more sort of more complicated. I don't know. It kind of looks like it's focusing more on the action side of pirating, and not much else. Like it kind of, it looks like a lot of things are being sort of your hand held through it. Like you don't have to worry about whether your crew is manning the sails. It's more of a just kind of try and take out the enemy boat. To be honest, I enjoyed like Assassin's Creed Black Flag and stuff, which is what I took a lot of inspiration from this from, or I thought that looks similar to it. But it's not something I'll be picking up for myself, only because I think, God, those ships are just irritating to handle. So I think I'll just get bored of them eventually. Yeah, let me do a left turn and just kind of wait 20 minutes for your boat to turn around. I'm not really into that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I love that, to be honest. I love the kind of methodical approach to these kind of systems that, I don't know, it's really interesting. That's why I love how, in Sea of Thieves, the turning is much, much worse than any Assassin's Creed game I've played. So, and it feels really fun. It kind of gives it some weight. But yeah, I think like this is kind of more arcadey, more action, so be interesting to see. Dean, how do you feel about this?
Well, it looks like a more fleshed out version of the ships in Assassin's Creed, and it looks like the same engine as well. I could be wrong on that one.
It probably is.
Yeah, which is, I can understand why they're capitalising on that, because a lot of people did enjoy that part of Assassin's Creed games. I did enjoy those parts. I don't think they were the best parts. I'm not sure how they're going to make it a full game. There has to be a point to it other than just taking out other pirates without it. I guess it would sort of tread into strategy territory if it starts going down that route. But it kind of seems like it should be like instead of it being a full release game, I kind of see it as it would be better suited to a game that's released
or on Game Pass, like day one release Game Pass game.
Yeah, something like that. Just a bit, not full price. Just maybe half the price of a normal game. It depends what they do with it. They didn't really show much to the point of the game other than blowing up other ships. But if that's your bag, then
it's whether or not you can actually leave the ship or not, because they haven't said anything about leaving the ship. But if you can leave the ship and go on adventures, then I think it could do really well, and it would kind of steal a lot of the thunder from Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, but then when then they run the risk, if it's using the Assassin's Creed engine, they run the risk of it being too Assassin's Creed like then. So it depends on what sort of missions they've got you doing. Maybe like treasure hunting and stuff like that could be cool. Going to certain islands and searching through jungles and stuff to find like ancient treasures, or going through tombs and stuff. That would be pretty cool. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, let's have a look and see. Okay, great. Next game is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I don't really have anything to say about this. There's a cool few things. There's the ability to play as either a man or a woman. There's branching conversations with dialogue options which change the story based on your decisions, and you're able to now pursue romantic options. But one of the interesting things that I'm really looking forward to is the setting, which is set in ancient Greece. So I think the environment looks absolutely stunning, and the lore in that kind of universe for Greece is really amazing. So it'd be really interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. I could say a lot about this, but I'll keep it short. I think it looks incredible. I've been waiting for a Greek or Spartan storyline in Assassin's Creed. I'm not too fussed about the romance thing. I don't know how that's going to work in an Assassin's Creed game, but it just looks incredible. Being able to Sparta kick people off of mountains or into wells.
I mean, that's worth the price of admission alone.
Yeah, yeah. It just looks amazing, and I loved Origins. I've always been a big fan of Assassin's Creed, but I think they got a bit stale after a while. And this new engine and the way they're showing off the worlds and history is really well done. So if they can improve on Origins with this, then I think everyone's going to win who's going to pick it up.
Brilliant. Elliot, how do you feel about this?
Really happy about the setting. Love ancient Greece. Love Greek mythology. I'm actually going on holiday in 3 weeks' time to Greece, so it's going to get me even more in the mood for this.
Yeah, very nice.
But
just don't go around Spartan kicking everybody.
yeah, no, I'll try not to. It looks really good. I love the idea of the two characters. To be honest, though, every single time the Assassin's Creed comes out every single year, to me, it's just another year where they haven't set it in ancient Japan with samurais and ninjas, and I think that's something they really, really need. Like, someone needs to sit them down and go, look, you've got a game about these characters are essentially ninjas at this point. Like, the amount of stuff they can do, just set it in ancient Japan. I want a samurai Assassin's Creed game, but they refuse to do it. I don't know if they've just not thought of it or someone's not told them about it, but they need to do it. So as much as I love the idea of being a Spartan assassin and I love ancient Greece, it's just another year without ancient Japan for me.
Well, we've got another game later on which is set in Japan, so we're going to talk about that later as well. So that might, ease your pain.
Appetite. Yeah.
Next up, I didn't put this in because I didn't think it was worth talking about, but Dean thinks it was, so I've decided to put it in anyway. Star Fox and Starlink. So there's a game called Starlink which is coming out. I have no idea what it is because I kind of switched off. I stopped watching the Ubisoft conference because I didn't really think it was exciting. It looked like some children's TV show. And then Star Fox got thrown into it because, you know what? Might as well get on the bandwagon for the success of Star Fox Zero. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no opinion on this one, unfortunately, Dean, so you go ahead.
I was just saying that Star Fox needs some sort of redemption, so I guess it's coming through this game that no one really saw coming. I'm not too fussed about the toys to life part of the game, but it looks like a more condensed version of No Man's Sky, where you go to different planets and you have different missions to do on these different planets.
So you're saying No Man's Sky, but with less stuff to do?
Yeah, but more stuff to do with a point.
Rather than just mind-numbing tasks. Well, actually, tasks, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a reason to go to this particular planet and not just like, oh, go around and do what you want type of thing. So I've always wanted a Star Fox game to be like this, where you have a certain mission, you've got to go to X planet or Y planet to do it, to save the galaxy from the evil forces, Andros and stuff like that.
What do you actually do in this game?
Well, from what I gathered from the trailer, it's you get certain missions. You're like this global police force or like defenders of the galaxy, and you have certain missions to do on them. I'm not sure what those missions are yet. Whether they're just shooting in your spaceship or whether you get out and stuff. But for me, it was just a surprise that they were like, "Oh, Star Fox is going to be in this game," and it strengthens the relationship that Ubisoft have with Nintendo at the moment, which is always a good thing.
It's a shame there's no confirmation for Beyond Good and Evil or Assassin's Creed to come on Switch.
Yeah, that is a shame.
But oh well, maybe later. Anyway, let's move on. I kind of, I don't know. I kind of feel like we didn't really talk much about what Star Fox and Starlink was. It was really interesting to see Shigeru Miyamoto hop up on stage. He's so charming. I love him. I would love to meet him in person. And
he seems so jolly all the time.
He is, and it's almost like he's been hit with like the Joker gas from Batman. He's always smiling.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether like it's because his English isn't great and he doesn't quite understand what anyone's saying. He's just smiling to be polite, or whether he's just so charming. I just love him, and it's really nice to kind of see him. Was it Yves Guillemot? Oh god, I can't say the Ubisoft guy's name.
Yves Guillemot.
Yeah, Yves Guillemot. And the two of them together are just. It's like the Chuckle Brothers in video game format.
They're both so genuine.
I know, and I really love like the poses they do for cameras on the stage. Like last year they had the guns. This year, Ivor Scott gave him the toy of the X-wing, not the X-wing,
the R-wing.
The R-wing, the X-wing's the. Can you imagine him saying, "We love your game. Here's the X-wing.
It's a Star Wars toy.
It's a Star Wars toy. Yeah, that
Oh god. Okay. But no, I just
that was nice. That was a cool little feature.
Yeah, a part of me is a bit skeptical, and the cynical person in me thinks that Shigsy already knew that there's a toy that was going to be produced of this. So
I think so, because they have to get confirmation to use their IPs.
I know, but like it would be charming if they gave him one of these toys and he was the first or the only ever one to be produced to say, "Hey, look, we love you, Miyamoto, have this." But it was like he was standing there pretending to be shocked by this toy.
I know.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, come on, man! I love you, what you guys are doing, but don't pretend like you didn't realize this was happening."
Yeah.
All right then. Right, we got a couple of. My God, did I even put this down? So there's only two things that were part of the rest section for Ubisoft. Just Dance 2019 got announced by a big dancing panda, so that happens. Do we need...
It happened. Yeah, I guess that's all they can say about it.
Yeah, I don't think we need to...
Tumbleweeds just flying by.
I'll tell you what, though, the crowd were into it.
I mean, if they're entertained by it, why not?
What else? The only other thing is Grant Kirkhope came up on stage and composed some music to go
that was cool.
in front of the Mario & Rabbids Donkey Kong DLC trailer, and that was really nice. I thought it was really nice to see Grant Kirkhope on stage. He's created some amazing tunes. He's a really nice guy as well. I remember seeing him from on the Game Grumps cameo. He did like a guest Grumps on that, and he was really funny. So yeah, I think this is a really nice kind of little addition. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yes, it was nice to see him looking very professional.
Yeah. He still came out on like a t-shirt, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, he's so down to earth, so that's nice.
Yeah, he's another guy I'd love to meet and just talk to him about things. But one day I'll meet these people. Right, we only have 2 more conferences to go. My God, it's already been 2 hours. I'm so sorry, guys. I was hoping to kind of get this over and done with, but yeah, it's...
I think we've done have we done Sony yet?
We have not done Sony. Let's go through them very quickly because there's only about 5 or so things. The Sony highlights. All right, so the first thing is The Last of Us 2 was announced. Teenage or 20-something Ellie.
Hi, I've been here.
Ellie hanging out at a friendly gathering. She kisses her girlfriend. Then like kind of a small cutscene, and then there's like a scene where it's very stealth orientated against human characters, and I kind of felt underwhelmed by it. It didn't show the clickers. It didn't really seem to touch on some kind of really interesting points or the survival elements. It just, when I saw it, I just thought, I've seen this. It's kind of Tomb Raider-esque. The only thing, and the thing I hate, okay, I hate games which have the ability to go prone in them. That really irritates me. I just rather having crouch or standing. I don't want to have this prone nonsense because it just kind of like further cements the thought that this is just going to be a really focused on stealth, and I don't want that either.
Yeah.
So I think it looked beautiful. Technologically, it was very impressive, but I'm a bit concerned about the focus of the gameplay, and I was also a bit concerned that I didn't feel I had much context as to what was actually happening. So I'm a bit nervous about this. How do you guys feel?
Well, I feel a bit sweet and sour about the whole thing, really. The opening part, it kicked off well. I like the fact that you can see Ellie as a more grown-up character now. But she seemed to have lost a bit of her personality from the original game. Initially, anyway. And I didn't get the whole... Like, she kisses the girl who's the other guy's ex, or whatever. And, like, I don't know where... Like, that's cool and all. I guess they're trying to, you know, put that sort of stuff into the games nowadays, but I hope that they're not just putting that stuff in for shock appeal, you know, like
I have to disagree. I think it was established quite early on in Last of Us that Ellie was gay. I think it's just down to they've got to show it as a character development, I guess.
Okay, well that's fine. I'm not saying it is that, but I hope not, because then I don't know. There's a lot of that going on nowadays.
Trying to be as PC as possible and, you know, stretch across to everyone kind of thing.
Yeah, and I feel like The Last of Us has a good enough narrative to not use that. But if that's part of her character development, that's fine. So that was, and then I liked how it suddenly switched to her just stabbing this guy in the throat.
Yeah, just jugging a guy neck up with a knife. It looked really fun. It
that was great.
Encapsulated it. It sort of really did well to show the
perfect.
nice parts of Last of Us, but then also show the grotesque, brutal bits.
Yeah, like, oh, this is all very nice, but this is what you're going to be doing. Like,
yeah.
This is Last of Us. So I like that the world's... It is very... it's hard, you know what I mean? It's survival of the fittest. But like Chris said, I do wonder if it's going to go a bit too stealthy with this version.
Okay.
Which, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to move on. I think Elliot's going to have to kind of talk a little bit about what he thinks about it. Sorry, just kind of moving on. I think we can talk about this for quite a long time.
Yeah, that's okay. My point on it is basically if it's half as good as the first one, I'll enjoy it. It looked really technologically amazing. There's a couple of things that I think are in the trailer that won't be in the final game, however, because there was a couple of things like that in the first game. I won't go into details, but there were certain things in the trailer that looked really cool, but then when the game came out, they weren't in it, certain actions and stuff like that. But I think Sony did well to show it off. It wasn't meant to be like a massive presentation. It was just meant to be a quick, like, you know, this is the sort of thing you can do in it. This is how good it's going to look. I was looking forward to Last of Us on that first trailer with Ellie just playing the guitar. So anything and everything Last of Us 2 that I can get, I'm going to enjoy it at this point.
I think the only thing I would like to see is I'd love to see more about what's happened to Joel. But
they're keeping it very quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be really interesting to see what that goes. But no. Anyway, yeah, brilliant. I'm looking forward to it. I'll pick it up. But I get the feeling we have missed a lot of context as to what has happened in that, and they're kind of keeping the plot close to their chests. But anyway, next game, and this is brilliant. Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushima?
I think it's pronounced Tsushima. I think.
Tsushima.
That's how I did it anyway. Yeah.
Tsushima.
It's Tsushima. It's been developed by Infamous Studio, who created the... Sucker Punch is the studio that's that are developing it. They made the Infamous games. I really love the Infamous games, but I don't know what else they made after the Second Son and Last Light. Did they make anything else since then?
No, I don't think they did. I think Last Light was their last
Don't
big
think so.
project.
So they've been probably working on this for quite a long time, I guess. It looked amazing. I think it reminded me a little bit of Witcher. The setting to it is immediately more interesting to me because it's set in Japan, I believe. Feudal Japan. There's loads of sword fighting, and I was blown away by some of the graphical technology of it, with the bit at the very end where they're kind of fighting, and there's the leaves which are just being brushed around as they move over them. My God, it's amazing. And
It looks very artistic.
yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be probably next big game, I think, for Sony, because I don't think this was actually revealed before this, so I think this might even be one of the game of shows for me, because I'd never heard of it before this. Elliot, Dean, any thoughts?
Looks quite cool, but I've just seen a couple of sort of third-person action games do that slightly better. I played Ninja Gaiden on the PS3 when I was a kid and was blown away by that. So I just think, unless it brings something really cool to the table, or at least something that's not been done before, it looks like a very beautiful looking third-person action game. So maybe if I see a bit more on it, I'll be more excited. But for right now, I'm still just too excited for Last of Us to care about anything else.
Okay, cool. Dean, any thoughts?
I think it looks great. I love the look of the combat. It looks very fluid and very quick and sharp, as that sort of battling would be as a samurai. The setting's pretty cool. It's set during the Mongolian invasion of Japan, so that's a nice take on it. The combat looks similar to Batman Arkham series, but it looks wicked. The art style looks cool. So yeah, it'll be good to see what Sucker Punch can do with the new IP.
Yeah. Be interesting. Okay, brilliant. Right, next up is a game called Control, which is a first-person game from Remedy. They made Max Payne and Alan Wake and Quantum Break. And it looks very much a bit like Quantum Break. So I never played it. I heard some really good things about Quantum Break, but I don't think it sold very well because the audience was not yet playing the Xbox One. So I don't know what you guys think about this. It looks cool, looks fun, but probably not something I'll buy at launch.
Yeah, I think the game developers think their game is a lot cooler than it actually is. From how intense the music was and how the shots they were choosing and stuff like that. I never played Quantum Break either, just like you, Chris, but I did watch a couple of reviews on it, and a lot of people were like, it's cool, it's nothing special, it's not like an Xbox seller or anything like that. So maybe if they do some cool mechanics with it, it might look fun. But yeah, I think the trailer itself was blowing a lot of smoke up his own ass. But we'll see. It might be interesting, but for the moment, it's on the lowest on my priority list.
How about you, Dean?
Yeah, I feel very similar. I mean, I loved Max Payne 3. I love Alan Wake was pretty good, but I'm not really a fan of Quantum Break. It really didn't turn me on at all, and I'm getting the same vibe from this. Just nothing about it floats my boat.
Okay, that's fine. I'll allow it. Death Stranding is the next one. My God, it looks great. I think the mystery of this game is going to be better than the game itself. So I don't think anyone's going to be very excited as to what the game is, but I think a lot of people are really looking forward to talking about what the game is. I know I am.
Yeah.
So I reckon it's going to... I don't know. I'm interested in seeing where it takes, but not Sure.
So far, it just looks like Daryl Dixon's some sort of supernatural UPS man, and it looks like a lot of stealth, or at least being very cautious of your surroundings. I still have no clue what it's about. I still have no clue what this game is going to be. It's just Daryl Dixon delivers some parcels, I think, is the main thing, but I've still no idea why a baby in a tube is relevant, and no clue what the enemies are. We'll just have to see what comes out of Hideo Kojima's brain on this one. I'm sure we'll see a bit more towards the closer the release day, but at the moment Daryl Dixon sneaks around, plays with a baby, and that's about it, to be honest, for me.
That just sounds so weird. Daryl Dixon just creeping around with his tiny little baby.
Yeah.
It's Kojima, so I'm excited just because it's Kojima, but I worry if him and his team are letting the hype generate from that fact, and that no one really knows what the hell's going on. I think what they showed looked very empty and quite boring. Even the bit at the end where it had a few more enemies and stuff, it still looked really boring and empty. Like, he's just kind of sneaking along, and there's not much else to it.
No.
So I don't know. From what they showed, I'm a bit more skeptical about this game now. A bit more worried about how good it's going to be. So
I don't think anyone has any ability to kind of judge this game just yet. So we'll see what happens. Okay. And this next one is Resident Evil 2 Remake. So Capcom are going to be releasing Resident Evil 2, upgrading it with HD graphics, making it all look nice and shiny, and I guess that's the main thing. I don't know if it plays how it should play in the original Resident Evil 2, which I think was a static camera.
Yeah, static room cameras, yeah. No, they've removed that now. It's basically more of a traditional over-the-shoulder third-person action game style.
Would that kind of ruin it as a remake, though?
Do you know what? At first, I was not bothered about this at all because I joined in Resident Evil at about 5, which is not a good starting point, believe me. I went back and finished 4 when it became available on the HD remaster. Really liked that. But I never played the originals because they seemed just a little bit too tough and a bit annoyingly puzzling. It just didn't look fun to be running around scared of every corner. Now, however, I watched a couple of YouTube videos on this remaster, watched a couple of gameplay footage, and I'm infinitely more interested in it. The zombies look incredible, they look realistic, they move realistically. There are certain things like the RPD police station looks terrifying because they've redone all the sort of lighting in it. It just looks awesome. Like, the shooting looks good. Well, it just looks like a standard sort of third-person shooting game. However, the zombies take a good sort of 4 hits to shoot each other. They take like a good 4 shots to go down. So it means that if you're in a room with at least 4 of them, you're going to have that real sense of dread. There are certain little things that are really nice, like if Leon gets bitten by one of the zombies, in the next sort of cutscene where he's talking to a character, you can actually see bite marks on his neck, which I think is awesome. So after watching the gameplay footage of it, I'm so much more interested in this than I used to be. I think this might be one of the horror games of the year. And don't be mistaken, Chris, I don't think this is a remaster. They have literally just remade a game. Because it's got, as far as the characters and maybe the storyline, this looks like a whole new thing that they built. And it looks really good.
Okay, cool. How about you, Dean?
Well, I like the fact that they've changed the camera angles. I wasn't really a fan of that stuff before, but it looks cool. I'll definitely be checking that out when it releases.
I will not be buying it because I am terrified of horror games.
Oh, dude, this one, like, I'm okay with kind of horror games. Like, I played through Dying Light, all that stuff, and I like a good zombie game now and again. But even I'm kind of going towards this with a bit of trepidation because I think with the lighting and the zombies and how realistic they look, I think I am going to get spooked at this one. So I'm totally with you on that one.
The only one I played was Resident Evil 5 from the beginning to the end, but I played that with a friend and we had a great laugh with it. And I think that's my favourite Resident Evil game.
Yeah, dude, you put two enemies on a couch with that game and they'll be friends by the end of it.
Yeah. But I love that. So whenever people say, it's the worst one ever, I'm like, well, I got a lot of fun out of it. So,
Yeah, me too.
People enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Okay, next one. We're up to the rest now. And I've put a controversial one in here as well. So first one is Neo 2, which is kind of like a samurai version of Dark Souls. I guess you can see a theme. We've already spoken to about 3 different samurai games so far at this E3 conference, so there's probably a theme running for the next year. So this has been announced. Neo 2 was supposed to be good, Neo 1 was supposed to be good, but not my cup of tea. There's Dark Souls. I don't know how you guys feel about this.
Neo is the only Dark Souls style game that's beaten me. I finished all the Dark Souls and I never finished Neo because it legit was too difficult. I'm not ashamed to say it. I tore my hair out several times with it. I like the style of it and the samurai sort of fighting, but yeah, dude, it was difficult. And if this one is half as difficult as the first one, I might be beaten again.
Okay, that's cool. Well then, how about you, Dean? You got experience with Neo?
No, I haven't played it, so I've got nothing to say about that one.
Okay, no problem. Let's move on. So the next one is... Okay, so this is the controversial one. I've put Spider-Man in the rest section because we've seen it so many times now. It's ended 3 different Sony shows. It's coming out in 2 months or so. I'm just looking forward to playing it. I don't care about seeing any more or talking about it. So, how about you guys?
Same thing. Just excited for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks amazing.
Looks incredible. And Insomniac games are amazing at their kind of graphics as well. So, Ratchet and Clank was great. Anyway, that's it. So, that's the Sony one down. We have only one more conference to go. It's the Nintendo one. And the good thing is they didn't really show much. So, we'll be in bed soon. Not together, but, in our separate beds, dreaming about the next E3.
Indeed.
So the first one is Fortnite is now out on the Switch. So this is great news because it means I actually played it. I won my very first game. I got a victory royale. And I have no need to play it anymore. I'm going to end with my 100% win rate and my kill death ratio of 2.
I mean, you're never going to do any better than 100% win rate. You're never going to do any better.
There's no point. I might as well just give up
Yeah.
this genre now. So I don't know. I didn't quite get it. But anyway, the interesting news is this. So do you remember Nintendo were kind of focusing on this app that you had to download for to do voice chat, and you had to link your phone to a headset, and then you've got to download everything. Well, Fortnite on the Switch, starting from this Thursday, will support voice chat through the headphone jack, right straight from the Switch. So you don't need a phone app to do voice chat.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Really interesting. I was really excited by this because I don't know why Nintendo are forcing us to download an app if it can be done. So I'm going to give that a try on Fortnite and see how it works, because that'd be really cool. Other than that, I think it's good that Fortnite's out on as many platforms as possible. People seem to love it, and even if I can't get into it, well, I don't control what people like and what they don't like. So do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Anyone got opinions on this?
All I've got to say is it's great that it's on the console, because there's a lot of people out there that want to play it, and yeah, if more people can get enjoyment out of a console, then that's a good thing. It's not my thing though.
Elliot?
I'm going to be boarding up my windows soon because clearly the virus has reached critical level. And if I don't do something quick, it'll reach my house. So, if it's infected one more console, God help us all.
Right, next up is Smash Brothers, like a Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. What is it called? Extreme?
I think it's
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yeah.
It's called Smash Brothers Ultimate. Yeah, so Super Smash Brothers Ultimate comes out in December, includes every single fighter from previous games, but also includes Inkling Girl and Inkling Boy, and a new character called Ridley Scott.
Yes.
So Ridley is a character in Metroid which some people really love. I have no idea who he is. He just looks like some sort of very vague pterodactyl. Is there anything special about him?
He's like the Bowser of Metroid.
But
Put it that way.
But his character design is shit.
Really?
I don't like it. He just looks like a pterodactyl.
Which character is this, sorry?
Yeah, I think it's wicked.
Ridley.
Ridley from Metroid.
Damn, I didn't see it. I'm afraid I've got no
Like an
opinions on
evil
it.
dragon.
Right, I'm going to show you. Right, so this is... I'm linking it up. So let's just... I'm going to post it in the chat.
Okay.
I just kind of think it just looks like just a pterodactyl, just a normal pterodactyl.
Oh, that thing. Oh, yeah. No, I thought that was... Yeah, that was one of the weaker looking characters, I'm not gonna lie. It didn't really interest me as much as some of the others did.
I think as he's been asked for so long now, I think for at least the past 3 games, I think him being a release now after Nintendo saying, he's too big to put into Smash Brothers, was the biggest shocker here. But I'm really pleased that he's in it personally. I mean, Metroid is one of my favourite games, and to see that series represented a bit more in Smash Brothers is a good thing. Plus, he's evil, and there needs to be more evil characters in Smash Brothers.
That's an interesting point about having villains, because even King Dedede isn't really a villain, is he?
No, he's like 1 minute he's Kirby's friend, the next minute he's not. So
I mainly thought it was Meta Knight that played the sort of villain role in Smash Brothers.
But even he's a friend of Kirby in some games. It's odd. It's an odd series, that one.
Yeah.
So really, you've got Bowser and Ganondorf and Wolf.
It's still a big crime that Waluigi hasn't made an appearance as a playable fighter.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a shame that Wario and Mario is in it, and yeah, he's not either. But it would be cool to see what wacky tricks he could pull out of the bag. But there we are. We'll see. Well, maybe he might be DLC in the future. We never know.
Well, he's already been shown off as a trophy character, so not going to happen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, that irritated me. Oh well. I mean, it's a massive roster of fighters.
66 apparently.
Yeah, it's massive. I think I'll be getting that. Although I'm a little bit confused because we've got the Nintendo Switch subscription service happening in September time. So I was kind of adamant that Smash Brothers would be coming out in September to kind of lessen the blow. But in fact, what's happening is we're just being told, hey, all those games you already can play for free, now you pay. It'd be interesting to see how that happens in shops, because I imagine, in your shop, Elliot, you probably don't. You probably can't really sell the boxes if they require an internet connection with a subscription. So the boxes would be void.
Yeah, so a good example is a guy traded in a copy of PUBG the other day on the Xbox One, and the only reason I could take it was because it was a sealed box. If someone had brought PUBG to me before, I can't take it because obviously it's only a code. So yeah, even like Destiny the Taken King, we have to sell it as just regular Destiny, because obviously Destiny Taken King, all of the content is via codes which you have to put in the game. Like the disc itself is just a regular Destiny. So yeah, when I always feel sort of a bit evil when this kid, brings up a copy of Destiny Taken King that he thinks he's got an absolute bargain for at $1.99, and I've got to tell him, sorry, this is just Destiny. So it does hurt it a little bit. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, when I used to work in Game Station, we released Burnout Paradise on the Xbox 360 and PS3, and in an update which was released for free, they introduced motorbikes. And what that meant was that we had to slap a new age rating on the front of the disc
Okay.
because because there was no human people riding these machines, these vehicles, and the moment they put in a human character, it bumps the age rating from like a 3+ to a 12+. Which is really funny, but yeah. Anyway, that's for another day if you want to go into that. Now we've got another section, and I might just fall asleep on this, but it's to do with Pokemon. Unfortunately, anyone who listened to the podcast last week, or the last episode, Dean and Elliot were chatting about Pokemon for ages, about who's and who-haws, or whatever it was. And I think...
Who-haws?
Yeah. I just sat there completely silent for about 20 minutes while they chatted Pokemon stuff. So, I freed you guys from that last week.
You need to get on board, Chris.
No, I don't need to get on board.
Maybe this will be the entry for you.
There's like 5,000 Pokemon out there, and I can't even begin to grasp any of it, you know. So, let's go. Pokemon, let's go. And there's... Oh, God, I was going to do like a kind of a funny joke then, but no, my brain isn't doing it. Let's go and get on with this Pokemon Let's Go stuff. So, Dean wants to talk about the info that was released on the Treehouse. Dean, can you please wake me up when you're done?
Yeah, well, it was just to briefly talk about them just showing off more of the game. They showed more in the actual conference. But yeah, they went into a lot more detail about how the battling will work, and how the world looks, and the first gym and stuff like that. So it's looking good. It's pretty much what we spoke about before, but they just highlighted on a few of the things that they didn't really talk about before. So yeah, I'm a little bit more interested in it now. It seems like those Pokemon Go elements aren't as implemented as I initially thought, which is a good thing. So yeah.
I think you can wake up,
That's
Chris.
that.
We're good.
Oh, thank you. Oh, God, okay, right. How many hours have passed?
No, just a couple of minutes. You're good. Don't worry.
Just 3.
Brilliant. Okay, right. Elliot, is there anything you want to talk about Pokemon Go on the Treehouse? Or
No, unfortunately, I don't own a Switch, so I'm not going to try and torture myself to look forward to this game, as I don't own the platform to have it on. So you're lucky, Chris. I've got no opinion on it.
Brilliant. Great. Let's move on. Oh, right. Okay, sorry about that, Dean. I didn't mean to be insulting, but yeah, I just can't get into it. I really wish I could, but it's escaped me, and maybe one day I'll wake up and I'll want to catch them all.
Maybe you'll be woke one day.
Yeah, I'll get myself a hoo-haw.
No, you can't be into everything, can you? So
yeah. Let's move on then. So I'm up to the rest section, so just a few quick things. Super Mario Party showed off a group of people laying down switches on the table, rearranging them and using both screens. It's a party game for the Switch, but I don't know, I didn't really feel enthusiastic about it. I'm glad they got rid of the stupid car and people can move on their own, but other than that, I mean, it's Mario Party. Any thoughts?
I love Mario Party. I've had so much fun with my friends with it, so looking forward to it. Think it would be cool to get it together with a couple of mates.
I'm at a disadvantage because everyone I know, I don't speak to anymore personally, so unless this had any online multiplayer, I just won't experience any of this. So I've been giving up on Mario Party since the N64 days, because it's just a nightmare getting friends together, and that's very sad. But you know,
yeah, but it's difficult. It's like, you know, who else do you know that's got a Switch, or who else did you know that had a GameCube? I suppose. But I get that the new game is going back to how it was before the car thing, but everyone seems to forget that since Mario Party 5, each installment has got worse and worse. And this is like the 11th game, so I don't get the whole sudden hype. Everyone's like, oh, it's going back to how it used to be, it looks amazing, whereas 2-3 years ago no one gave a crap. So I don't really see there's any difference here or any real reason to get that excited about it. It had some nice implementation of the actual tablets for the Switch, so you'd have 2 Switches, you'd put them down beside each other playing one of the games, and you could tell the Switch what direction the consoles were going in, and you could play the game taking one character from one screen to the next. That looked quite cool, but how much of that is really going to be happening when you just want to sit down and play Mario Party on your TV with a couple of friends? So yeah, I don't know. I think it's just going to be standard Mario Party, really.
Okay, cool. Let's move on then. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 gets some new DLC. Anyone interested? I don't have an opinion on this.
Me neither, I'm afraid.
No.
Nah, brilliant. New Fire Emblem game has been announced. I, once again, don't have an opinion. I don't like these kind of grid-based combat systems, so not for me.
Yeah, no opinion on me, I'm afraid.
I think Fire Emblem's great. I like that they're trying something a bit different with this one, where you control army units as opposed to just single units. They definitely need to change it up a little bit, but yeah, I think it's just going to be standard Fire Emblem. If you like it, then it's for you.
Good. Brilliant. Well, with that, it now, I believe, is the end of our coverage for all of the conferences.
Hey.
Right, brilliant. I do have a couple questions from a few people, so I'm going to ask them, and then we can probably all go get some sleep. Right, okay, so Anthony John Harris has said, what game would you have liked to have seen from E3? And for me, because I already am sour about it, I would have liked to have seen Skate 4.
It's difficult to say, to be honest. I think everything that was at E3 was what I wanted to see. Apart from, I'll tell you what, I'll think of it. Dean, you go, because there is something I'm thinking of. I just can't. It's escaping me for the moment. So you go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Mark. I cut off for a second. Then what was? I got to Anthony question, then I missed the question.
The question is, what game would you have liked to have seen from E3? What I chose was Skate 4.
Okay, yeah. Metroid Prime 4. That would have been amazing. I don't get why Nintendo didn't show any of it, to be honest. Missed opportunity. So yeah, that would have been my dream game.
Yeah, I really would have liked to have seen the Avengers game, which I already mentioned earlier, from Square Enix. But yeah, I think don't know. I think they're like the main ones: the Avengers game and the Skate 4 game. Elliot, have you managed to gather your thoughts and realise which game you would like to see?
I think it wasn't really the game that I wanted to see that wasn't there. It was more of I wanted to see more of the game that they did show, and that was Cyberpunk. If they could have given me just a 5-minute demo or something just to tease me that little bit more, I would have been really happy. I totally appreciate that these guys are working on something huge right now, but yeah, just a little bit more would have been lovely.
Is there not a sequel to something that you'd love to see? BMX Triple X2, maybe?
If they, for some reason, suddenly announce KOTOR 3, then I'll be very happy. And, yeah.
There you go. We're going to accept that as your actual answer.
Yep, KOTOR 3 wasn't at E3 this year, and I'm pissed about it.
Okay, and another question is from Ryan Booth. Do you think all the leaks prior to E3 help or ruin the overall experience of E3? And do you think E3 is a necessity anymore? As previous years, it's always come across as a one-up competition between the big developers, but this year's seems more restraints. For me, I kind of feel that people like Walmart releasing things like Rage 2 might have been very useful for Rage 2 to kind of get some coverage because, maybe if they had announced it as they had done at the show, it might not have gotten the traction it had gotten so far. So it's interesting to see that. I kind of feel a bit disappointed that there weren't any really massive surprises at this year's E3. I mean, Tsushima, Ghost of Tsushima. I can't say his name. I need to find out what that is. Was a really nice surprise, but other than that, we kind of knew quite a lot of the games going in, and I think that this year is that awkward year between a really good year last year, if I remember rightly. I'm not too sure. Oh God, I can't remember. I just kind of feel like we're kind of still in the kind of middle of the generation, and we're at a stage where maybe we're kind of really looking forward to a massive technical upgrade. And if they are going to be focusing their time and efforts into this cloud-based technology to increase the processing power of every single console, that might be a really interesting conference to talk about, but I reckon that's another 5 to 10 years away.
Yeah. Pretty much my answer to Ryan's question was, yeah, I think leaks do ruin it. Although I do appreciate sometimes when things are surprising, like for example the Elder Scrolls 6 announcement by Bethesda. I say announcement, the incredible teaser trailer, massive teaser trailer. If someone had leaked saying Bethesda are going to release Elder Scrolls 6, I would have just pretty much ignored everything else, even as far as to go ignoring Fallout 76, because I'd be wanting to see some of Elder Scrolls 6. So yeah, I think leaks do hurt it a little bit. It's always nice to look. It'd be the same sort of thing as if you were going to a gig to go see your favourite band, but their set list got released before the gig. So you know exactly what song is going to come out after the next one. Like I went to go see a band years ago, and for some reason they played their most recent album in order as it appears on the album. And it was weird. Yeah, it was really weird because you knew exactly what song was coming next, so there wasn't any surprise. And so in that regard, yeah, I think when companies leak, game releases before big events like this, it does harm the sort of surprise elements in the sense. Like, that's pretty much my answer. I think it does harm it, and I think if they stopped, it would be a lot cooler.
How about you, Dean?
Yeah, I think it does affect the overall experience negatively because, I mean, some of it, if it was just leaks, then you could say, oh, it's not really the developer's fault or anything like that. But there's also been quite a few actual announcements before E3 by the companies, which I don't really understand. So I wonder if E3 is just becoming something that the companies themselves are caring less and less about, and it's more the journalists and gamers that are into it and sort of making a big deal out of it. Just certain things like Pokemon Let's Go, I mean, whether you like it or not, that's a big reveal, a huge reveal, and I really don't get why Nintendo announced it a week before E3. But I've seen this with Nintendo as well. They don't even do a proper show anymore. They just do a direct, which is all pre-recorded, and they're making it less and less important every year. And I'm starting to see that as an overall theme there. So I think it's just us, the gamers, that care more than the actual companies, really.
I think it's interesting because there's so many games coming out all the time compared to 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. There's so many more games coming out that having a single day dedicated to your game is almost like suicide because gamers are going to forget about it. So this is really interesting for me because I always focus on, when I release games, making sure that there's enough to talk about a game for many, many weeks or many months so that the game will achieve success. And I think what's happening is some of the publishers out there are now using the week before to kind of tease what they want to talk about later, so they can kind of extend their coverage and reach. So it's a marketing, the whole thing is marketing. It's not really anything else other than a big marketing spend. But yeah, I mean, that's what we should be treating it. I think someone's mentioned that it was just a giant advertisement, and that's what E3 is really. It's an advert, and I think it's still relevant, but I think you're going to have good years and bad years.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
I think this has been one of the first years where it's been meh overall. Because usually it'll be one company, they're stellar, and the other company is not so much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
That was an interesting.
I think we're at the end. We're wrapping up. We're in the crumple zone of our podcast. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to ask you both a question. I'm going to ask who won E3 based on their conference.
Bethesda, for me, definitely. They showed the game that I'm most looking forward to. They announced the game that I will be forever looking forward to until they bring it out. And the game I've wanted since I finished Skyrim. And they also released a new IP, which might be interesting as well. And I've got to say, the whole Skyrim on every platform joke slayed me. Like, the whole thing where he was playing Skyrim on Alexa and then he was playing on the refrigerator and, like, all that stuff. Like, it's so amazing to think that Bethesda totally embraced the joke that some people make them out to be. And it was just brilliant for Todd Howard to come out and be like, yeah, we had to, guys. It absolutely slayed me. So, yeah, Bethesda, definitely for me.
I eat all the cheese.
Yeah, exactly. I eat all the cheese. Like, that whole bit was absolutely perfect. Whoever directed that needs a medal.
It was brilliant. It was great. Dean, how about you?
I'm just drawing a blank. What was the question again?
It was who do you think won E3?
Sorry, I'm so tired. I'd probably go with Ubisoft. I personally liked what they announced. It floated my boat, so yeah.
Sweet.
What about you, Chris?
I'm going to say I really enjoyed Microsoft's conference. There was a lot of stuff there. Not all of it was exclusives, but what they did was they did a really nice presentation. They knew how to be kind of flash with their kind of delivery of their stuff, and Forza Horizon is incredible. I think it's interesting that they're kind of focusing on their games, and they kind of made an impact on kind of like releasing Devil May Cry 5 as its own trailer. You had Division 2 being announced first there. You had Kingdom Hearts 3 first being announced. You even had things like Just Cause 4 being announced first there, and the Cyberpunk 2077 trailer. I think Microsoft showed more than anyone else in terms of quality. And even though I loved originally I walked out with Bethesda won it because they entertained me the most, but they showed 4 things compared to like the 20 things that Microsoft had shown off. And I think it's a mix. It's a toss up between Bethesda and Microsoft, and I don't know. I'm slightly putting Microsoft ahead.
That's a fair point. Microsoft did show off the most games, and they had the most coverage. It just makes sense.
So if Devolver Digital showed at least 20 games, they would have stolen the show with their.
That'd be good. I mean, I only mentioned one of their games, My Friend Pedro, but the other 2 I didn't even feel free to kind of tell you more about. So it's the fact that we spent something like nearly an hour going through all of the Microsoft highlights. And even then, the list of stuff that I just lifted off there isn't even half of the stuff that they showed in their conference. I think in terms of the most excited game is probably Fallout 76, but I can't base my conference on just one game that I'm really excited for. And if they had shown like gameplay of Cyberpunk 2077 on the Xbox E3 conference, I might have probably like just gone mental because that sounds amazing.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're at the end. Is there anything else anyone would like to say? I know we're a little over what we expected. I wanted to put this under a certain amount, and we've just talked for hours. Is there anything that anyone else wants to bring up and talk for another hour about?
No,
Please no.
We've covered everything. It was a fun event. I enjoyed it. Certainly didn't regret seeing any of it, and look forward to the year ahead, I guess.
Okay then. Well, if you listen to this far into the podcast, as I always say, what the hell are you doing with your life? And if you want to subscribe to us, because clearly you enjoyed what we had made, click the subscribe button, rate us 5 stars, click that like button, click all the buttons, as many buttons as possible. If there's a button, make sure you click it. Smash. Just wanted to do a Jacksepticeye impression then, but not going to happen. Yeah, so press all the buttons you can. If you want to tell anyone about how great we are at podcasting, we're pretty new. This is our 3rd episode in so far. Or if you want to tell us that we're shit, make sure you tell us that as well and let us know what we can do to improve, because we are still pretty new to this and we want to kind of improve and make sure that we're as good as we can be. But any support, greatly appreciated. And I hope you stay with us for the next episode, which I have no idea when will be, because we might want to recover from this one, because it's been a long one again.
Yeah, a lot to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's been really exciting. So anyway, thank you very much, Dean, for coming onto the show. Thank you very much again, Elliot, for coming onto the show. You guys have been a pleasure to talk to.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, yourself.
No problem. And so, with that, goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.